What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6JM. Chapter 6 I am the director. Ah no, I am the deputy director. Advertisement. Shocking. The Mariajoy attack. Countless news birds flew to the outer sea, sprinkled snowflakes of newspapers all over the sky, and spread the news of the attack on Holy Land Mariajoy. For a while, the news spread rapidly like a virus, and the news media circles were in a carnival. The world government wanted to hide it, but it was too late. This incident was too big, and thousands of slaves who were imprisoned in Mariajoy escaped. Even the world government couldn't cover it up. At the same time, the name Fisher Tiger spread throughout the world immediately, letting countless people know that there was such a man who climbed up the red line with his bare hands and broke into the headquarters of the world government. Alone, he sneaked into the heavily guarded Holy Land of Mariajoy, not only set fires wantonly, but also set all the slaves, and finally escaped with 450, and his A*, which is tantamount to putting the face of the world government and celestial dragons. It was torn off fiercely, and then stepped on hard again. The whole world is in an uproar. The sea is so restless. In the Marine garrison base on Island 66 of the Sabayati archipelago, Cross sat lazily on a sofa chair in an office, crossing his legs, holding several newspapers such as the World Economic News and the Times in his hands. It has to be said that the headlines of these newspapers are really very rare. I remember the last time something like this happened, it seemed to be when the One Piece King Luo Jia was executed. Early this morning, the leaders of naval headquarters rushed to Mariajoy for a meeting, and the major branches that were too far away also opened video calls. Officers largely participated in Mariajoy's meetings remotely. It's just that Cross is a recruit, with a mere rank of major, and he is not qualified to participate in the high-level Mary Jo meeting. However, he did not participate in this meeting, but he also had a general understanding of the content of this meeting. Nothing more than asking naval headquarters to do everything they can to capture Fisher Tiger and the escaped slaves. Advertisement. If you think about it carefully, after the Mariajoy attack incident, it will definitely stimulate the ambitious people on the sea. The pirates will set off a wave again, and some people will even imitate Fisher Tiger and intend to attack Mariajoy again. Therefore, the world government will definitely let naval headquarters fill the vacant admiral, so as to avoid similar things from happening again. Admiral, who has overwhelming power, can arrive at the first time to suppress it. In addition, there is the allocation of 7 warlords of the sea. 5 elders may also urge naval headquarters at this meeting, wanting to get Marine to quickly recommend a few pirates to the top position, to balance the gradual rampage out of control the sea. In short, Cross guessed that at today's Mariajoy meeting, these should be the things to be discussed and discussed. As for the serious dereliction of duty of the Holy Land Defense Corps, whether someone will be arrested and imprisoned, or their heads will be lost directly, whether this kind of matter will be discussed at the meeting, Cross is not very clear. Anyway, after experiencing the Mariajoy attack, this time, the Holy Land Defense Corps will definitely have a big change, and the 5 elders will definitely punish those generals who neglected their duties. Yawn. Cross stretched sleepily, feeling a little drowsy. He was busy all night last night, suppressing the lawless criminals on the Sabayati archipelago everywhere. Like a firefighter, the pirates alone killed hundreds of people, and other criminals such as gangsters, human traffickers, robbers, etc. He killed nearly 1,000 people, which was the most he killed. But Cross didn't have any regrets or intolerance, and even felt that it should be done. Thanks to his ruthless hand, the chaos in the Sabayati archipelago last night was quickly resolved, and the loss of civilian life and property was minimized. With a happy expression on his face, Cross quickly stood up, walked outside, and said to himself, "Send away all these scumbags, and then you can relax. Let's go to the hot spring. Let me give you a massage. I have a headache." Ha, you are so right, I like this sentence. Hannibal nodded with a smile on his face. Yeah, that's great. A young sailor pushed the door open, saluted Cross earnestly, and said, "The impel-down prison ship has arrived. Major Cross, do you want to start handing over the prisoners?" Advertisement. Listening to the other party's words, Cross was a little speechless, but still shook hands with the other party, and smiled reluctantly. "I am Major Amphitheater Cross. Deputy Director Hannibal, I don't want to be the director's jailer, but 3.7 is not a good jailer. I believe you will become the director of Impel-Down in the future." Okay, Deputy Commissioner Hannibal, there are 6% and 41 criminals in total, so I will trouble you. Cross coughed lightly, and quickly got to the point. It turns out that last night, Cross not only cooperated with the garrison of the Sabayati archipelago to kill many lawless criminals, but also arrested hundreds of people. Now they are all detained in the Marine garrison base on Island 66. Cross, facial muscles twitched, he waved his hands helplessly, and said, "Of course we don't worry about Impel-Down, then let's start the handover, Deputy Director Hannibal." Later, this kind of rumor was changed by demons for several versions, and finally the ultimate version was used by adults to frighten disobedient children, saying that the messenger riding the silver giant eagle would appear at night, not only killing evildoers, will also capture disobedient children and use them to feed the silver eagle. Don't worry, Major Cross, I will send them all back to my Impel-Down safely. Ah, I was wrong. Saying it is mine is showing my ambition. Hannibal said sternly. Director that guy, wrong again. Commissioner Magellan is waiting at Impel-Down, can't go wrong. Not long after, Cross arrived at the port where Marine was stationed, and saw a huge ship like a hill anchored in the port, almost no bigger than Marine's first-class warship. Boom boom boom. So much so that when Cross heard about it later, he really couldn't laugh or cry. I'm Hannibal, director of Impel Down. Ah, I'm sorry, I accidentally exposed my ambition. I'm the deputy director of Impel Down, please take care of me. A man with a prajna face, a headdress in the style of an Egyptian pharaoh, and a belly bloated like a ghost stood in front of Cross, holding a long ordinary iron trident in his left hand and stretching out his right hand forward. Suddenly, there was a knock on the office door. Therefore, rumors have appeared on the Sabayati archipelago, saying that at night there will be an envoy of justice descending, riding a giant silver eagle, to kill evildoers. However, Marine is very busy at this stage and has no time to send these prisoners to the prison, so he has to contact the jailers at Impel Down and ask them to come and escort the prisoners by themselves. Advertisement Chapter 7 Farewell to Marine School. Advertisement. Marine School. In the chief instructor's office in Building 1, Cross and Zephyr were sitting on the opposite sofa, smoking cigars and drinking hot tea. I didn't expect Teacher Zephyr to come back so soon. The actual combat training for this elite class should be 2 months away. Cross smiled and picked up the teapot on the glass tea table, and poured hot water into Zephyr's teacup. Tea, white hot air accompanied by a faint tea fragrance permeated the air. Such a big thing happened, so I can't come back. Zephyr shook his head and snorted softly. It's obviously my fault, but the pressure is still transferred to our Marine, which is really uncomfortable. Ha ha ha, there is no other way, Mr. Zephyr, who told you to be Marine Admiral? Although you have been transferred to Marine Chief Instructor, after all, you are one of the top Marines and have great influence, whether it is naval headquarters or world, even the government can't ignore your huge combat power, let alone at this time. Cross said with a smile. It doesn't matter, just don't let me go out to perform some shit missions anyway. Zephyr said cursingly, then looked at Cross with a serious expression and asked, I heard that you were leaving the Marine School too. 14 inches, that's right. You also know that the 5 elders put a lot of pressure on naval headquarters, but Marine lacks combat strength and can barely cope with the situation at sea, so my good days are over. Cross nodded with a light smile. The Mariajoy attack incident has caused a lot of trouble. A murloc, considered by humans to be a fish, attacked the Holy Land Mariajoy, causing the world government to lose everything, not to mention face. However, the most important thing for the world government right now is not the loss of face, but the turmoil and consequences after the Mariajoy attack. At least many pirates will start to associate, thinking that a murloc can make a big fuss about Mariajoy, so can't we have a pirate group? A murloc attacked the headquarters of the world government. Is it true that the world government is not that powerful? Once too many people think that the world government is strong on the outside but capable on the inside, it's just gold and jade on the outside, and it's a waste of money. Then the impact can be described as very bad. As the saying goes, 3 people make a tiger. Advertisement. At that time, countless people will soon challenge the world government, causing even greater chaos in the world. Therefore, Cross understands that if the world government and Marine cannot deal with the aftermath of the Mariajoy attack, in time, there will inevitably be a big mess, so naval headquarters will transfer him from Marine School to supplement Marine's strong combat skills. Lack of strength. That's right, they really won't watch you waste time in the Marine School with such a highly maneuverable combat force. Zephyr narrowed his eyes, without any surprise expression on his face. He asked again. However, I also heard that you want to join the G2 branch. That's right, I feel that I get along very well with Pelusolino Vice Admiral, but Marshal Sora wants me to stay in naval headquarters for a while for mobile support. Cross took a sip of hot tea from his teacup, and then replied in a deep voice Road. Mr. Kong's consideration is correct. That guy Pelusolino is the base chief of the G2 branch, and he can't stay in Marineford for a long time. With you, we can quickly provide support to important places around Marineford, such as this time, you did a good job in the Mariajoy attack, and quickly suppressed the chaos in the Sabayati archipelago. Zephyr did not comment on Cross's desire to follow Pelusolino, but praised it rarely. Although Zephyr and Pelusolino are at odds, they are a teacher-student relationship after all. As a teacher, he can't say to Cross that Pelusolino is not good, he is not a suitable boss. Shout, world government doesn't think I'm doing well. Cross curled his lips and said sarcastically. Hee, I heard that they are very dissatisfied with you for going to the Sabayati archipelago instead of protecting the celestial dragons. Zephyr laughed, but was very dissatisfied with what Cross did. Very much appreciated. The main force of the Holy Land Defense Legion and the strong men of the CP organization are protecting the group of celestial dragons. I am not missing at all. They are just venting their anger incompetently. Cross said contemptuously and in a disdainful tone. In fact, that night, Cross just let the activated creatures go to Pengu City, and blocked some guys who were dazzled by anger and madness, but he didn't go there, so he made the world government very dissatisfied, or some kind of embarrassment turned into anger. Advertisement. After all, when Cross arrived at Mariajoy, the 5 elders didn't think highly of Cross, almost ignoring him. Unexpectedly, later, Cross suppressed most of the chaos in the Sabayati archipelago by himself, allowing the world government to face up to his strength again. A person who was regarded as a little transparent by the 5 elders has suddenly become a strong man who can control the situation of the battle. If the 5 elders admit the credit of Cross, it is tantamount to a slap in the face, and it is to let them admit that they do not know people well, so the world government can only vent its anger against Cross for violating military orders. Moreover, there is also a lot of controversy within the Marine regarding Cross's violation of military orders. Although it is said that Cross alone suppressed most of the chaos in the Sabayati archipelago, he deserved a lot of credit, but he also violated orders and acted without authorization. You must know that in the army, violating military orders is the #1 taboo, and those who are serious will be shot. Therefore, many Marine generals believe that merit is merit and demerit is demerit, and Cross 787 cannot ignore his mistake of violating military orders just because he has made great achievements. Otherwise, everyone will learn from each other and violate the military order. How can Marine maintain the peace of the sea? In the end, the top management of naval headquarters made a compromise for Cross, which is the so-called balance of merit and demerit. Regarding this matter, Zephyr naturally understands the inside story. Although he does not agree with Cross's violation of military orders, he also appreciates Cross's behavior of giving up protecting celestial dragons and protecting innocent people. On this day, Cross chatted with Zephyr for a long time, and after handing over the work at hand, he officially left the Marine School and entered the naval headquarters fortress. But what people didn't expect was that naval headquarters turned out to be a gesture of warm welcome for the arrival of Cross. For the Marine generals, although violating military orders is not advocated, it can protect innocent people, but it can make the righteous people have a good impression of Cross. In addition, because Cross's devil fruit ability is special, he is the only existence in naval headquarters with high mobility and the only important combat force permanently stationed in naval headquarters. The dispatch of the office and the dedicated telephone bug, and directly under Kong Kong, is eligible to refuse the dispatch of other high-level generals, unless there is a dispatch order from the Marine Marshal. Advertisement Chapter 8 Guillaume's Help. Advertisement. Naval Headquarters. Tisk tisk. Cross was more interested in wandering around in his office. Besides looking left and right, he also fiddled with some decorations from time to time. This is the first office that officially belongs to him, the one in Marine School is only temporary. If Cross remembered correctly, he probably needed to work in this office before he was promoted to Vice Admiral. Because in the naval headquarters, basically only officers above the Rear Admiral have their own independent offices, and the others share an office with a few people, or a dozen or even dozens of people. Of course, there are also some important departments, or officers with special positions. Although they have not reached the military rank of Rear Admiral, they also have their own independent offices, but these are very few. So, he can already dress up his office well. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Cross turned his head and looked, and saw Guillaume pushing the door and entering, looking at him with a pretty face and a smile. Hi, I'm here to visit. Guillaume laughed. Immediately, Cross had a disgusted expression on his face, and said unhappily, why are you here? Guillaume didn't care about Cross. Disgust, walked in on his own, and said softly, I heard that you have been transferred to naval headquarters, so I came here to have a look. Advertisement. Don't come here, talk about things, you won't come to me for no reason. Cross said angrily. Last year you came to me to pretend to be your boyfriend, and rejected the extra courtship, but you leisurely I ran away for several months, and then I was R******D for a long time by Ja Gigi who knew the truth. Cough. Guillaume coughed a little in embarrassment, and quickly said, then I came here to apologize to you. Hearing this, Cross looked Guillaume up and down, and said sarcastically, you come to apologize, but you have nothing, just relying on your mouth. Hey, brat, that's too much. Guillaume stared at Cross unwillingly, then took out a silver card from his pocket, shook it at Cross, and said triumphantly, this is a hot spring island membership card. You can soak in the natural volcanic hot springs, and enjoy a 30% discount. Hot Spring Island. Are you talking about the hot spring island that is close to the windless zone, where the volcano on the island will spew out magma that is brilliant like fireworks, but it won't hurt the island at all? Cross, eyes lit up, quite excited asked. That's right, it's the hot spring island famous for its natural volcanic hot springs and firework volcanoes. Guillaume said with a smile. Without a membership card, you can't soak in natural volcanic hot springs at all. I didn't expect you to have such a good thing, give it to me. Cross smiled from ear to ear, and wanted to reach for it. Unexpectedly, Guillaume smiled and withdrew his hand, and said, don't worry, do me a favor, and I'll give you this card. Oh, isn't this a gift for my apology? Cross said dissatisfiedly, what else do you want me to do for you? I got this hot spring island membership card with great difficulty. It was not enough to help me last time. Guillaume waved the membership card in his hand and said with a smile. Let's talk about it first, I'll think about it. Cross crossed his arms and folded his chest vigilantly, and said in an inexplicable tone. Don't worry, it's not other messy things, there is a more difficult task. Guillaume waved his hands quickly and praised. Cross arrogantly accused Guillaume, but saw that the other party's face was flushed, and she was about to explode with anger, so she quickly said, it's not that I don't want to help you, but that I can't help you. Don't look at me just staying in the office, it looks very leisurely, but in fact, as soon as the phone buzzes and the order arrives, I must be dispatched immediately. Guillaume Lu frowned, and said in a deep voice, Stone Forest Island is near the Kingdom of Kurus, not too far from naval headquarters, and it takes only 3 days to get there. But the terrain of Stone Forest Island is very troublesome, and the surrounding sea area is full of hidden reefs, and warships that are too big can't reach it at all, but my third-level warships can barely enter. Advertisement. Hee, it's interesting. Cross stroked his chin thoughtfully, and said slowly, so, you want me to help you find that monster? Oh, there is such a smart monster. Cross said in surprise. That monster can detect you leaving, it must be hiding nearby to monitor you, and even detect the strength of the enemy. So, you received an order to deal with that monster. Cross said with some clarity. Speaking of this, Guillaume Chao percent had a gloomy face and said angrily. Later, those villagers said that the monster was hiding deep in the mountains, so I left 100 people in the village and led the other 300 soldiers into the mountains to search. That monster actually waited for us all to enter the mountain, then attacked the village again, and left after a big fuss, killing and injuring several towns of the hundreds of soldiers I left behind. You can let the activated creatures enter the mountain from the sky to search, or lie in ambush in the sky, waiting for the monster to appear. This way the chances of finding the monster are much higher. Ziyuan Chao percent looked solemn, and shook the hot spring island in her hand membership card, said, as long as you help me catch good percent live or kill that monster, this card will belong to you. For such a big investment, it seems that the monsters on Shilan Island annoy you. Cross gloated. That's right, according to the survivors of the 46th Division, that monster moved as quickly as the wind and was also very powerful. It defeated 200 of them head-on, and the 100 elites from the headquarters I left in the village were also killed. Defeated head-on. This means that the monster must be avoiding me. Guillaume looked proud, with some irritation in his tone. Look, is this the look of begging for help 3? When Guillaume saw that Cross was still suspicious of himself, he couldn't help feeling annoyed and amused, so he explained. Some time ago, Marine Division 46 sent someone to inform Naval Headquarters that a cat-like cat appeared on Shilan Island. The black monster would harass the residents of the villages on the island at the end of every month, and would leave after eating a few animals. The 46th Division once sent a troop of 200 people to hunt and kill the monster, but was caught. The monster scratched and killed a lot of people and had to ask Naval Headquarters for help. But the most troublesome thing is not this. Shilan Island is a medium-sized island. There are several adjacent mountains on the island. After I went there, I led 400 soldiers to lie in ambush outside the village, waiting for the monster to attack the moon. It appeared at the end of the month. Who knew that the monster seemed to be aware of the danger? I have not waited for the monster to appear from the end of last month to the middle of this month. That's right, I received the order to deal with that monster. Guillaume saw that Cross was not evading, so he said seriously, it's okay, as long as you agree, I'll talk to Marshal Sora. If it doesn't work, I'll ask Crane Big Sister to help. Mission. Tell me. Cross looked at Guillaume suspiciously. UB ********D. Stop talking sarcastic here, and just ask you, can you help me? Guillaume glared at Cross viciously, and asked angrily. This is the task given to me by Marshal Sora, I really can't run around. Advertisement Chapter 9 Stone Forest Island. Advertisement. Stone Forest Island. G. The long cry of the eagle echoed, and the silver giant eagle flew in the blue sky. Cross sat on the back of the giant silver eagle, stretched out his head to look at an island below, then looked at the permanent pointer on his wrist, and said to himself with certainty, it seems that this is here. Shilan Island is not among the 7 main routes in the first half of the Grand Line, so it needs the guidance of the permanent pointer, otherwise it will be difficult to find the island. At this time, Cross, who was several hundred meters in the air, saw a Marine Standard warship with a body length of more than 50 meters docked on the coast at a glance. The towering 3-masted sails were very conspicuous. There are still many sailors walking around on the deck. However, the place where this warship docked should be a simple port. The pier on the shore looked very simple, all made of wood, and there were more than a dozen wooden fishing boats docked on both sides of the warship. In addition, the island is located on the coast and built around the port. There are about 300 houses and buildings, but most of them are wooden houses. There are only a few stone buildings. The residents walking outside are also wearing linen clothes, or animal skin clothing, looks quite poor. In addition, the 760 inches stone forest, in the east of the village is the most recognizable. The pillar-shaped rocks are more than 10 meters long, and there are hundreds of them. Each stone pillar has traces of erosion by wind and rain. I don't know whether it is a natural formation or a man-made wonder. In short, on this stone forest island, there are many similar, stone forest, scenes, so it is called, Stone Forest Island, by the outside world. Go down. After circling a few times in the sky with Cross on its back, the giant silver eagle swooped down towards the warship below under the signal of Cross. What is that? Bird. The silver bird, and there are people sitting on it. Enemy. Be alert. At this time, the sailors on the deck of the warship seemed to have noticed something, and looked up to the sky, and immediately saw a giant silver eagle shining in the sun, and a figure sitting on the eagle's back. Boom. In the next second, the giant eagle landed and stood firmly in the middle of the warship's deck. The silver metal wings flapped, and the roaring violent air flow spread outward, but almost knocked down the sailors on the deck. Cross jumped off the back of the giant silver eagle, put his left hand on Bia Jingsho around his waist, looked around with a natural expression, and said loudly, "Where's that woman in Guillaume? Who are you?" Advertisement. The sailors on the deck of the warship came to their senses, rushed forward, and surrounded Cross with vigilance. If it wasn't for the fact that Cross was wearing Marine's code of justice to make everyone present take care of it, otherwise someone would have already done it. Crunch. Then, the door of the captain's cabin was opened, and Guillaume came out wearing a pink jacket, brown cropped pants, and black high-heeled shoes. Put down your weapons. Guillaume Chao percent had a calm face, and said in a deep voice, "This is Major Cross of Naval Headquarters, I specially invited him to help." "Oh. Major of the headquarters. The beautiful Guillaume Sama invited only a major. This guy doesn't look too big, does he? You became a major of the headquarters at a young age, you should have some skills." All the sailors present looked shocked, and they all looked at Cross with suspicion. Hey, you're not late, are you? Colonel Guillaume. Cross looked past the sailors on the deck, looked at Guillaume at the door of the captain's cabin, and asked with a smile. As long as that monster hasn't appeared, it's not too late. Guillaume also replied with a smile. Let's go. Then, Guillaume waved his hand to let the sailors surrounding Cross disperse. Although they had some doubts about Cross's ability, the sailors on the deck still obeyed the order and withdrew from the siege on Cross. Immediately, Guillaume stepped forward, looked Cross up and down, then looked up at the sky, dissatisfied. You came alone. Are you blind? Cross rolled his eyes, and raised his hand to touch the cool feathers of the giant silver eagle beside him. This giant eagle also bent down obediently, rubbing its head on his body affectionately. VR. Advertisement. Guillaume took a breath and looked at the silver-eyed eagle beside Cross in disbelief. In the next second, a look of anger appeared on Guillaume's pretty face, and she said viciously, Don't tell me, you can search the entire Shylon Island by yourself. Ha ha ha, don't be angry, it's just a joke. Cross grinned, blinked at Guillaume jokingly, and said, I'm impatient, so I'll come here for a field trip first. They're slower, and they'll arrive in the evening. HMPH, this is more or less the same. Guillaume snorted angrily. That monster never appeared during the day, it only appeared at night. Guillaume crossed his arms and said in a deep voice, According to the confessions of the villagers and sailors who met the monster was completely black and as big as a cow. It has green vertical pupils, 2 tails, and roars like a cat or a tiger. This is the village head holder, and his granddaughter, Tuya. Guillaume introduced. It's just that these footprints are very large, any one of them is bigger than Cross's face. Guillaume nodded, also understood the importance of Cross to naval headquarters, and then led Cross towards the shore. Is there such a monster in the world? It must not be a black tiger with 2 tails. Cross looked surprised and scratched his head involuntarily. At this time, an old man with white hair and beard and wrinkled face walked over with the support of a little girl, leaning on a wooden crutch. Along the way, the villagers in the village greeted Guillaume with great respect when they saw Guillaume and the group. Let's go, I have limited time, take me to the village to understand the situation first, and then look at the surrounding terrain. Cross said with a smile. I can't be called a general. I'm Major Amphitheater Cross, please give me your advice. Cross shook hands with village chief holder, with a gentle tone. Cross looked in the direction Guillaume pointed, and found that there were many deep claw marks and feline-like footprints on the ground. However, after going deep into the village, Cross found many traces of the battle, as well as some houses and buildings damaged in the battle. I can't talk about advice, but I just want to ask when you will be able to deal with that monster. Village chief holder looked directly at Cross and asked very directly. Cross opened his mouth. He didn't expect the other party to be so direct. He didn't know what to answer for a while. Look, here are the paw prints and footprints left by that monster. Why are you in such a hurry? Fine, come with me. A moment later, the two were walking on the gravel path in the village, followed by a dozen Marine soldiers. Your Excellency is the new Marine General, so welcome. The old man walked up to Cross and Guillaume, and said eagerly. Advertisement Chapter 10 Rumors and Monsters. Advertisement. Hee, don't mind, Grandpa speaks so directly. The little girl Tuya covered her mouth for fun, her big eyes bent into crescent moons. Ahem, it's okay. Cross quickly waved his hands in embarrassment, and then looked at Guillaume beside him, only to find that the woman actually lowered her head, as if she was looking at a few big-headed ants at her feet. Obviously, this woman knew the character of village chief holder, but deliberately didn't say it, it was really bad enough. Don't blame the old man for speaking bluntly. You Marines have not been able to solve it a few times. It makes me wonder if your Marines are perfunctory as ordinary people. He hit the ground with a bit of dissatisfaction in his tone. In his opinion, the female colonel's ability is questionable, and now there is a young major, and he doesn't believe that naval headquarters is not just playing tricks on him. Don't worry, village chief holder, if I still can't solve it, I guarantee that the senior personnel of naval headquarters will come next time. Cross didn't care about the other party's change of face, and asked with a smile, can you tell me something? Tell me something about that monster. And is there any weird rumors on Shylon Island, or something like ancient legends? As the saying goes, reach out and don't hit the smiling face. I am an envoy of justice, and in modern times I am a soldier of the people, and I will certainly not be as knowledgeable as an old man. Well, probably not. I've said everything that needs to be said, what else can I say? Village chief holder muttered dissatisfiedly, but he still said, I don't know much about the monster, anyway, it only appeared half a year ago. It always appears when there is no moon in the dark night, and I can't see the specific one clearly. As for the bizarre rumors, the old man stroked his beard. I know. Tuya raised her hand and shouted hastily. Oh, let's hear it. Cross laughed. I heard from the uncles who went hunting in the mountains, that there are monsters that eat people in the mountains, and they will use the voice of young girls to deceive the hunters who come into the mountains. Although I don't know anyone who has seen it, but recently many people are this is about this matter. Tuya said with a smile. The man-eating monster can speak in the voice of a young girl. Cross stroked his chin thoughtfully, as if it felt somewhat familiar. Could it be a monster parrot? Guillaume complained. There is indeed such a rumor that some hunters in the village encountered it, but they were afraid of encountering the legendary ogre monster, so they ran back to the village in panic. Village chief holder said in a deep voice, and I have heard similar rumors in several other villages. Advertisement. Interesting. Cross said to himself with interest. Did you guess what? Guillaume asked curiously. Is the rumored talking monster the same as the monster that came to make trouble in the village? Why haven't I heard of such a thing in the world? Quote. I probably guessed a little bit, but I still need to see it with my own eyes. Cross said softly. I haven't even seen it with my own eyes, what can you do? Guillaume's pretty face was full of puzzlement. Cross didn't answer Guillaume, but looked at a few kittens not far away. There were white cats, orange cats, and tabby cats. Several cats were squatting under the shady eaves, typing pages lazily. Mr. Holder, do you have a lot of cats here? Cross asked. Cat. Village Chief Holder looked puzzled. There are many cats, but few keep cats. Everyone likes to keep dogs. Tuya raised her hands and replied loudly. Thank you, I know now. Cross smiled and touched the little girl's head, and then said to Guillaume, I remember that tomorrow night is the last day of this month. You take people into the mountains today, don't go too far, but don't get too close. Anyway, when I set off the signal flare, as long as you can see it, leave the rest to me. Come on, what do you want to do? Guillaume Lu frowned, and gave Cross a dissatisfied look. Just do as I tell you. Cross explained. Actually, I'm not sure, I just want to confirm my guess. Pretending to be a ghost. Guillaume snorted softly, and said, okay, I'll take people into the mountains this afternoon, and the safety of the village will be entrusted to you. After everything was discussed, Guillaume didn't stay too long, and quickly returned to the warship in the port. In the afternoon, only 50 people were left in Guillaume to guard the warship, and the rest of the hundreds of people followed her and went into the mountain again. After watching Guillaume and the others leave at the back door of the village, Cross sat on the back of the giant silver eagle, flew into the sky, and disappeared in the sight of countless villagers, asking for flowers. Gradually, the sun set and the night fell slowly, as if an extremely huge black cloth covered the sky and the earth. Only a faint crescent moon hung high in the sky, emitting a faint light. After nightfall, thousands of villagers in the village stayed in their homes with nervous expressions and locked the doors and windows, as if they were waiting for something. Advertisement. For a while, the huge village quickly quieted down. Only some chickens, sheep, cattle and other livestock raised by the villagers would bark from time to time. I don't know how long it has been, but it seems to be the middle of the night. The silver giant eagle is flying in the night sky. Under the cover of night, it keeps circling over the village. But at this time, a black shadow as big as a cow sneaked into the village at some unknown time, walked quietly, and came to a fenced yard with a light leap. Giggle. Ba ba. Moo. Eyes. Wow woof. Woof woof. Suddenly, the originally quiet village became restless. Chickens are flying around, sheep are screaming, even cows are trying to break free from the ropes on their bodies, and the hounds of the villagers' homes are also howling uneasily. Coming. The monster is coming. Light up the torches. After a while, the originally dark village quickly lit up. Almost every household lit torches, and the flames illuminated the entire village. Ha ha ha, I found you. In the sky, Cross laughed loudly, and the sitting silver giant eagle flew down like an arrow from the string, whipping up a frenzied violent air current. The black figure as big as a cow raised its head, and its green amber-like erector was looking around in the darkness. It held a goat whose neck had been bitten off in its mouth, and then turned around and fled outside. Yah. As a result, in the next second, a long eagle cry sounded, and a silver giant eagle fell rapidly, just in front of that black shadow, and the silver steel wings set off surging air waves that spread in all directions, stirring up thick smoke and dust. Meow. The black monster as big as a bull bowed its body in shock, its black hair stood up, and it let out a low growl like a cat or a tiger, as if it was doing some kind of deterrent, and the two black tails behind its buttocks were also shaking anxiously. Advertisement Chapter 11 Monsters that don't exist in reality. Advertisement. This black monster as big as a bull wanted to run away. A pair of vertical green pupils like amber turned back and forth, then turned around again and ran in another direction. On nights without much moonlight, this monster can rely on its own protective color to be like a fish in water in the dark. If it is allowed to run into the village, those mountain village hunters with pitchforks and hunting bows will not be able to stop this monster. However, in the next second, before the black monster ran a few meters away, one after another activated creatures fell from the sky, surrounded by the sound of howling wind. Quote. Roar. Cuckoo. Giant birds, giant vultures, gargoyles, griffins, all kinds of strange living creatures, made of stone or metal, uttered various threatening calls at the black monster, scaring this black monster. The black monster even dropped the goat in its mouth on the ground, its hair stood up, and it bowed like a cat. Ha ha ha, let me see your true face. Cross laughed and took out 2 torches wrapped in oilcloth from behind, lit them with a lighter, and threw 14 out. 2 torches, one left and one right, landed next to the black monster in front of them. Meow. Stimulated by the flames, the black monster suddenly jumped up, facing the direction of Cross, and let out a threatening growl from its throat. Finally, under the light of the fire, Cross saw clearly the true appearance of the black monster in front of him, and he couldn't help showing a surprised expression. I'm just kidding. This legendary monster shouldn't exist in reality. Cross' eyes were full of disbelief, and he couldn't help but throat trembling. Gulu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. I only saw this black monster. It was actually a black cat creature as big as a cow, with 2 long black tails, more like a black cat than a panther, with big and pointed ears, and double-sided sawtooth teeth, a pair of big and round green-amber vertical pupils are more like two emeralds, turning back and forth quite nimbly. My previous guess turned out to be true. It's really legendary, Maoyu. Cross's eyes flickered, and he whispered. Perhaps, it might be Zone's ability user. In the legend, a cat is a monster with a black cat image and two tails. It can speak in a human voice, manipulate corpses, disguise itself as a beautiful girl or an old woman to deceive passers-by, and even eat people to maintain its unique ability. Meow. As if sensing the threat from Cross, the legendary cat opened its mouth and let out a roar like thunder, then exerted strength on all fours, and its vigorous body rushed towards Cross like a black lightning bolt. Gee. In an instant, the silver giant eagle raised its head and screamed, flapped its wings suddenly, and set off a whistling air current. The heavy metal wings hit the cat's body heavily, like a slap, and directly slapped the opponent back. Advertisement. I saw the cat roll around on the ground a few more times, shaking its head a little dizzily, but got up from the ground unscathed. Who are you guys? Cross stared at the cat again, held the handle of the Jingshu knife at his waist with his right hand, and threatened. You'd better be obedient and grab it, or I won't keep it. Meow. The cat trembled again, and a pair of green-amber vertical pupils stared at Cross, as if aware that Cross was a more dangerous existence than this giant silver eagle. Warehouse. With a cold expression on his face, Cross directly pulled out Jingshu from his waist, and said in a deep voice, I'll count to 3, if you don't. Let me go, I'll give you baby meow. Suddenly, the cat made a pleasant female voice again, interrupting Cross's words. Who are you? Cross narrowed his eyes slightly and asked in a deep voice. Let me go, I'll give you baby meow. The cat didn't answer what Cross said again, but repeated it again. I'm Marine, I don't accept your bribe. Cross said righteously. I have the pieces of paper you like, and many shiny things, let me go, I will give you meow. The cat's voice was crisp and clear, and the content of the words made people very strange. Okay, so much nonsense, let's surrender obediently. Cross felt a little amused, and immediately jumped out from the back of the giant silver eagle, stretched out his hand and grabbed the cat in front of him again. Meow. The cat screamed strangely again, its body as big as an adult buffalo shrank rapidly, as if discouraged, it turned into a small black cat and landed on the ground in a blink of an eye, narrowly avoiding Cross, capture. Meow, meow, meow. At the same time, dozens of cats of various colors suddenly rushed out, scurrying around in the night, as if they were protecting the cat. Advertisement. Then I saw this cat that turned into a little black cat take advantage of the cover of night, and a dozen cats, coupled with its small body, quickly escaped from the encirclement of activated creatures. Quickly ran into the nearest house. Hey, sure enough, I can order these cats. Cross didn't feel upset because of his momentary miss, but looked at these cats running around with more interest, and even showed an anti-smile. The cat is really cute. It's a signal from Major Cross. Call out. Then, Cross 730 casually dropped the empty shell of the signal flare, and suddenly exerted force under his feet, smashing the ground to pieces. The powerful counter-shock force made his body rush out like a cannonball, and crashed into the infinite room without reservation. The minister of the wooden house of the people. That brat Cross, you did a good job. It is said that the cat catches the mouse, let me catch the cat this time. Beep. A red signal flare soared into the sky, blasting a dazzling red seagull pattern in the dark night sky. Beep. Afterwards, Cross took a deep breath, resisting the idea of grabbing a cat and patting it, and the observation hockey quickly spread out, like the electromagnetic waves of a radar, soon to lock onto the desolate breastfeeding cat thousands of meters away. Cat area. Guillaume rushed out of his tent in a hurry, with a surprised face, holding the famous sword Golden Piluo, yelling. What happened? Beep. Guillaume's pretty face was pleasantly surprised, sheathed the golden pira in her hand, and then said loudly. I have all of them, leave 20 people to pack up the camp, and the rest get dressed, only bring weapons and ammunition, and set off with me. The next moment, the sentries hurriedly took out their whistles and blew them vigorously. Several hundred miles away from this stone forest village, hundreds of sailors headed by Guillaume were stationed on a small hill. Several sentries on duty at night looked into the distance with slightly changed expressions. Red fireworks with seagull patterns hung high above the sky, lit up the dark night sky. Before she finished speaking, she saw in the night sky in the direction of Shilan village, red fireworks with seagull patterns fixed in the sky and disappearing little by little. Hearing a loud bang, the wooden walls shattered, and countless pieces of wood of various sizes scattered in all directions, and Cross rushed out from the other side of the wooden house in a blink of an eye. The sharp whistle spread throughout the camp, waking up the sleeping sailors. Boom. Advertisement Chapter 12 Manipulating Corpses and Capturing Cats. Advertisement. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, what a naughty little guy, let me catch you. In the village under the night, Cross rampaged, destroyed many houses in a row, and caused a lot of smoke and dust, just to catch the kitten with two tails. The villagers in the village couldn't believe their eyes when they saw that the seemingly delicate Cross was so violent that he could knock down wooden and stone houses with only his body. And the cat scurrying around was terrified, sometimes getting bigger and sometimes smaller, plus the dark night and the complicated environment in the village, and the cover of a dozen cats, it wanted to get rid of Cross behind it, but no matter what hard work, always cannot escape the pursuit of Cross. Even when those mischievous kittens wanted to hinder Cross, they were directly caught by the activated creatures hovering in the sky and brought into the air. Then I saw these little cats screaming in panic and screaming, struggling constantly in the claws of the activated creatures. Not long after, Cross and the cat chased and ran away to a desolate cemetery outside the village, surrounded by overgrown weeds. The cat stopped suddenly again, staring at the big, round, green amber's vertical pupils, and fixedly stared at Cross. Little cat, why don't you run away? Cross patted the dust off his body, smiled and said, if you don't want to run away, just return to your human body honestly. Damn guy, meow, the cat said angrily again, and then let out a shrill cry, and the ripples spread out in circles, as if some kind of magical power erupted. Cross's expression changed slightly, and he looked around subconsciously, and saw a rotten arm protruding from the ground under a tombstone. Caw, caw. Afterwards, one after another, corrupt corpses and skeletons crawled out from the ground, wearing rag-like clothes, and various disgusting maggots crawled on the body, emitting an unpleasant pungent smell. Sure enough, it is possible to control corpses, the ability of phantom beasts, how disgusting. Cross muttered to himself with an ugly face. Meow. The cat let out a shrill cry again, as if it was some kind of attack signal, and saw dozens of hundreds of corpses and skeletons staggering forward, and then walked faster and faster, and finally ran to Cross. These are the ancestors of the villagers, it's really troublesome. Cross frowned, put the jingsho in his hand back into the scabbard, and kept avoiding the attacks of these corpses. If he wanted, he could easily chop these people into pieces with a knife, but these people were the ancestors of the villagers after all, and he was too embarrassed to destroy them. Advertisement. It's just that these corpses are too disgusting, and the slightly clean Cross didn't want to be touched by them at all, so he jumped up high and cast moonwalk to fly into the air. Leaping over the living corpses in front of him, he reached out and grabbed Maoyu's head. Meow. The cat was stunned again. It didn't expect that this wingless guy could fly. Then it quickly rolled over like a donkey, narrowly avoiding Cross capture, then turned over and stood up, all four legs suddenly exerted force, and rushed out like a black lightning. The hook-like claws popped out from the pads, and grabbed Cross's neck fiercely. Just in time. The next second, with a smile on his face, Cross quickly stretched out his hands, and precisely grasped Maoyu's two front paws. Meow. The cat stood up again, and after looking at Cross who was close at hand, it struggled desperately in panic. However, Cross's hands were like steel pliers, firmly grasping the cat's front paws, making it impossible for the big black cat to break free. Meow. The cat meowed again and opened its mouth to bite Cross's neck. Scandium. Seeing this, Cross had no intention of avoiding it at all, allowing the cat to bite his neck again and keep tearing. Meow. However, after a while, the cat was a little dumbfounded again. It felt like it was biting an alloy steel plate. Its extremely sharp double-sided serrated teeth rubbed against the opponent's shiny black neck, and even sparks came out, but it couldn't hurt it at all. It's useless, just grab it honestly. Cross showed an idiot expression, rubbed his cheeks affectionately on the soft black fur on cat's body, then pushed the cat down to the ground, and stretched out his hand to grab its neck. Meow. The cat felt strong suffocation again, rolled its eyes involuntarily, the body shrunk unconsciously to the size of a cat. Cross was a little surprised, let go of Maoyu's neck, reached out to grab the soft flesh at the back of the other's neck, and picked it up. Let go of me meow. Damn twilegs meow. The cat screamed angrily again, like an ordinary cute kitten, its four legs were kicking in the air, but it still didn't turn into a human form. What the hell is a twileg? Advertisement. After a long while, Cross looked suspicious, and said softly, you don't, are you really a cat? The next morning. What? Guillaume's exclamation came from the captain's room. You said this cat is that monster. Don't yell so loud. Cross sat on the soft sofa with an unchanged expression, sipping black tea leisurely. On the solid wood coffee table in front of him, a little black cat was tied up with an iron chain, lying on the coffee table with nothing to love. Are you sure you're not joking? Guillaume squatted in front of the coffee table, looked at the little black cat in front of him, looked left and right, couldn't imagine how this cute little black cat defeated hundreds of marine soldiers. It is a cat in itself, but it just ate a zone cat fruit phantasmal beast cat and shaped cat. Cross glanced at Guillaume and explained. Phantom beast. Guillaume gasped, and said in a regretful tone, it's really good luck to eat a zone phantom beast that is rarer than Logia. Then what are you going to do with it? Then, Guillaume looked at Cross and asked in a low voice. I'm having a headache too. Cross said helplessly, this little guy has hurt many villagers, even the 46th Division and your subordinates have been wounded and killed nearly 100 people by it, but killing it would be such a waste. Hearing Cross mentioning his subordinates, Guillaume looked cold, stared at the kitten with murderous intent in his eyes, and said softly, this little guy should be taught a lesson. 1. Meow. The little black cat looked at Guillaume pitifully, then shook its head weakly. I asked about it because people in the village often went to the mountains to hunt and compete with it for prey, so Zhao Nuohao went into the village every month to hunt some animals, so there was a conflict between the two sides. To deal with it, the conflict broke out. Cross continued to explain. What? Guillaume looked puzzled and asked in puzzlement, you can also speak cat language. Hearing this, Cross rolled his eyes at Guillaume, and said, this is the ability of the little guy, he can understand human language, and he can also speak human language. So that's how it is, really smart. Guillaume suddenly realized, then stood up, and said in a deep voice, however, killing a kitten with the ability of Zone Phantom Beast is really wasteful, so let's find a way to subdue it. No matter how bad it is, putting Impel down is better than killing. Heroes see the same thing. Cross nodded with a smile, and said slowly, I even gave it a name, just call it Best, how to play. Best. The legendary cat goddess. What a good name. Guillaume showed appreciation. Best. The cat goddess in Egyptian mythology, the goddess of war and patron saint of Lower Egypt, also known as the goddess of Bastetto. Advertisement Chapter 13 Disposal of Best. Advertisement. Marineford Island Naval Headquarters 1. G. With a long cry, the silver giant eagle landed on the large balcony of Cross's office, surrounded by fierce winds. The balcony of Cross's office is specially built, almost several times larger than ordinary balconies, like a small platform, which can allow activated creatures like the silver giant eagle to take off and land quickly, allowing Cross to attack quickly. After all, Cross's ability is different from Pelusolino's. His flying is indirectly relying on external forces, and he cannot fly himself, so Naval Headquarters specially created such a platform for him. Cross rolled over and jumped off the back of the giant silver eagle, holding an iron cat cage in his hand, which contained the little black cat Best. However, Cross walked into the office, put the cat cage on the tea table, and just as he was about to sit down, there was a knock on the door of the office. Come in, Cross said. Crunch. The door of the office was pushed open. Jonathan walked in with a calm expression, and said in his mouth, I just heard the crowing of the eagle, and guessed it was you who came back. Yo, Jonathan Commodore, I just came back, you didn't just come to inform me that a mission is coming. Cross said with quite a headache. It's a little bit of a situation, but it's not time for you to go out, I just want you to prepare a little bit. Jonathan laughed. It seems that there is still 717 time for me to wash up. Cross heaved a sigh of relief, then sat down on the sofa, and continued, sit down, if you want to drink tea, I can't entertain you now. Quote. You guy, don't you think I'm here to drink tea? Jonathan smiled and sat opposite Cross, and then looked curiously at the little black cat locked in the cat cage. Puzzled, he said, this cat is quite cute, but why did you tie it with a chain? Having said that, Jonathan looked at Cross suspiciously, and said hesitantly, you don't have any cat abusers, do you? Advertisement. Hey, Twillegs, let me out, I'll give you a piece of paper that you can buy things, and there are many shiny gold things meow. The sudden, crisp female voice came out from inside the cat cage, making Jonathan tremble in fright. It can talk. Jonathan stared wide-eyed, pointing at Best in the cat cage tremblingly. Shut up, Best, Cross scolded, and after watching the little guy lower his head sleepily, he explained to Jonathan, I don't have any quirks of cat abuse, it's just that this little guy caused Guillaume's troubles. It took a lot of effort to catch it late. Oh, it's not easy for Guillaume to call you for help, this little guy is not easy. Jonathan said in surprise. It's a black cat that ate. Zone cat fruit phantom beast species cat in shape. Apart from being able to speak human language, it also has other unique abilities. Ordinary cat cages can't hold it, so I use the smallest the seastone chains bound it, Cross explained. Hiss. Jonathan gasped, and looked at Best in the cat cage with a look of astonishment. The devil fruit of the zone phantom beast was actually obtained by a cat. This ability is rarer and more precious than the Logia devil fruit. Counting the entire naval headquarters, Logia's ability user can still find several people, but Zone's ability user seems to be only Admiral Sengoku. Now, such a rare and precious cat actually appeared on a cat and got it by Marine. I don't know if it's a pity or good luck. The next second, Jonathan stood up suddenly, and said to Cross excitedly, this matter is too important, I must report to Marshal Kong. What? Cross looked at Jonathan in surprise, not understanding why he would alarm Marshal Kong. Although Best is a rare zone phantom beast ability user, he is just a cat after all. Is it possible that he still hopes to fight against Whitebeard or Big Mom in the future? Looking at Cross's expression, Jonathan suddenly realized that he was a little excited. Advertisement. Although the abilities of the zone phantom beast species are precious, the person with the ability is just a cat, destined to be unable to become an independent marine general. Okay, I was too excited, but it is also a zone phantom beast ability user, so it is necessary to report it to Marshal Kong. Chang Beej Nathan scratched his head and said a little embarrassed. That's right, let's go now. Cross agreed, stood up and picked up the cat cage on the coffee table. Afterwards, Jonathan and Cross took Best, the little black cat, to Kong's empty office. After learning of Best's identity and ability, Sora couldn't help showing a strange expression. Such a rare and precious ability actually fell on a cat. If it gets out, how many people will be beating their chests and scolding God for injustice? Later, Sora thought about it carefully, and forgave Best for hurting the sailors, and didn't let Cross hand over Best, but let him keep it for himself, and seriously asked him to take good care of Best and save him. Recover and adjust %, teach well, don't lose it. Even though Best is a cat, he possesses the ability of the zone phantom beast, so he will be a good fighting force in the future. It is much better to stay in the marine than to wander outside. You know, devil fruit will be reborn. Once Best wanders outside and accidentally dies, this, cat fruit cat in shape. Devil fruit will reappear somewhere on the sea. If someone with evil intentions eats it, it will definitely cause a big trouble for Marine, which is absolutely intolerable to Kong. As a result, the Shylin Island incident came to an end, and Guillaume also returned to naval headquarters soon after. After the Shylin Island incident was resolved, Cross officially started his career as a firefighter. On weekdays, in addition to taking care of Best, Cross has to go back and forth between Sabayati Archipelago and the surrounding islands every now and then to cooperate with the nearby marine troops to crack down on the troublesome pirates. After the Mariajoy attack, the already turbulent undercurrents have become more and more restless, and some careerists from non-world government countries have ulterior motives, continuously trying to test the details of the world government. In addition, some newcomer pirates, who are not afraid of tigers, are frequently provoking marine, because they always feel that they were born in this world, and they are the protagonists of this world. Maybe they think too highly of themselves, or they have no experience in society. Brutal beatings. In addition, the pirates in the second half of the Grand Line are also ready to move, so naval headquarters has to focus on those monsters. Therefore, as a rookie in Marine, Cross takes on a lot of responsibility, making him a small major, but often with a group of colonels, commodore and rear admiral, and even on an equal footing. However, if you want to wear the crown, you must bear its weight. Cross also lived up to the importance that naval headquarters placed on him, relying on his outstanding strength. Every time he attacked, he very smoothly defeated those pirates that were very difficult for ordinary sailors. Advertisement Chapter 14 The Base Chief of the Sabayati Archipelago. Advertisement. Time flies, especially when people are busy. Fortunately, Cross is not too busy. The really troublesome guys are all in the New World in the second half of the Grand Line, being watched by naval headquarters, that is, some new generation pirates, or some old pirates who are slightly troublesome. But the Marines in other branches are not all trash, and there are relatively few troublesome guys. However, Cross's mission doesn't stop there, and he often cooperates with the CP organization of the world government to fight against some terrorists. In particular, Sabayati Archipelago is not only the last island in the first half of the Grand Line, but also the closest point to Holy Land Mariajoy. Such a special location naturally attracts countless Yuki snake gods. In this sea, apart from the countries that are members of the world government, there are countries that are not members of the world government. Non-world government franchise countries are generally divided into two types. One is too weak and has nothing unique in itself, so it is naturally not seen by the world government. The other is that one's own national strength is strong, or the terrain is difficult to rely on, so you don't need to rely on the protection of the world government, and you can survive well in this cruel sea. However, in those countries with strong national strength, whether they are members of the world government or non-members of the world government, there are always some ambitious people. They secretly peep at the aloof world government, often taking advantage of the turmoil, or secretly promote the expansion of the chaos, and then fish in troubled waters to obtain greater benefits from the world government, and even try to replace it. Therefore, the world government has only one attitude towards these dirty hands stretched out, and that is to cut them off. Come one, cut one. Get a pair, cut a pair. Kidnapping, assassination, lurking, protecting, stealing. In the dark side of the Sabayati Archipelago, the agents of the CP organization are extremely active, constantly fighting with some guys who are trying to spy on the details of the world government. Among them, the Charlotte Pirates, who are the #1 intelligence business in the dark world, are the old opponents of the CP organization. On this day, Cross received another mission and hurried to Sabayati Archipelago in a giant silver eagle. For Sabayati Archipelago, Cross is already very familiar with it, because the place where he went to perform missions most is Sabayati Archipelago. Not long after, Cross arrived at the marine base on Island 66 at a speed several times faster than the warship. Accompanied by the long cry of the eagle, Cross rode on the back of the giant silver eagle and landed in front of the fortress building of the marine base under a gust of howling wind. Cross. Advertisement. Gobert Rear Admiral, a 2.5-meter tall man with short brown hair stood at the gate and greeted Cross with a smile. This person has a slender face and sunken cheekbones, which looks weird. He is wearing a grass green suit with white stripes, a dark green shirt, and a beige tie. He is wearing a white marine justice coat behind him, and he is wearing black leather shoes. He is the base chief of the marine base in the Sabayati Archipelago. Come on, I just got some high-quality black coffee and cigars, and I just have time to taste them. Gobert patted Cross on the shoulder affectionately, and walked side by side with him. Cross showed surprise, and said strangely, there is still time to taste coffee and cigars. Didn't it mean an urgent task? It doesn't matter, anyway, the black dog from the CP organization hasn't arrived yet. Gobert said indifferently. Are you going to help them solve some trouble again? Do you have any specific details? Cross frowned and asked in a deep voice. I don't know much, but I was asked to assist their CP organization. Anyway, I can send some people there, it doesn't matter. Gobert shook his head, and then shouted at the adjutant not far away. Jess, go make 2 cups of my best black coffee. Yes, Rear Admiral. The young adjutant saluted respectfully, then turned and ran away. I remember the previous few times, it was because the number of enemies was too large, or their strength exceeded their estimates, so we needed our marine to intervene temporarily. Is there any big move this time? Cross thoughtfully chin, slowly talking to himself. Who knows? Gobert said rather perfunctorily. Anyway, recently, gangs with more than 100 people have disappeared, and even the pirates who sneaked ashore are small pirates with fewer than 100 people. The regiment, even the bounty is not high, it doesn't matter. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Cross laughed and said, you be asterisk 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 D, you know that pirates have landed on the Sabayati Archipelago, and you let them go, you're really tired. It's not a big trouble, it doesn't matter. Gobert said without interest. Ask for flowers. Soon, the two came to Gobert's office. As the highest military officer of the Sabayati archipelago, Gobert's office is not small, and the various decorations inside are very luxurious, and the furniture such as sofas, coffee tables, bookcases, tables and chairs are also expensive brands. Advertisement. After all, the post of military chief of the Sabayati archipelago is a lucrative post, and there are countless businessmen and parties who want to please Gobert, in order to be able to get Gobert's care. On Sabayati archipelago, there is a mixed bag of gangsters, pirates, businessmen, world government officials, almost all kinds of people. But those who can do business on the island basically have backgrounds, from senior officials of the world government, to relatives of high-level marines, and there are even quite a few people who work for celestial dragons. However, there is a saying that goes well, the county magistrate is not as good as the current one. 0. As the highest military officer of the Sabayati archipelago, Gobert offended him. Even if there are celestial dragons behind you, if he tries his best to get you, he will definitely kill you before the celestial dragons take shelter, or put you in the Sabayati archipelago. All the above industries will be eradicated. Most importantly, Gobert is not without background, he is a neutral member of one of the 3 major marine factions. As long as he does not make any major mistakes, naval headquarters will turn a blind eye to trivial matters such as daily bribery of who made Sabayati archipelago's base chief a fat job. If you really want to pursue it, almost every base chief has problems. It's not the first time you've come here, just sit down. Gobert casually pointed to the sofa, then turned around and came to the side collection cabinet, and took out a solid wood box from it. I'm not being polite. Cross was also polite, and sat straight on the sofa. Come, try my cigar, which was given to me by a businessman not long ago. Gobert sat on the sofa opposite Cross, opened the solid wood box in his hand and put it on the coffee table, and said indifferently. Cross took a thick brown cigar, put it in front of his nose and sniffed it for a few seconds, and said, the aroma of fruit wood is very strong, and there is a hint of vanilla. Very knowledgeable. Gobert glanced at Cross, picked up the cigar tongs and cut a cigar, then struck a match and lit it slowly. So, I only started smoking last year. Cross also picks up the cigar tongs, with the same height as Gobert. Advertisement Chapter 15 The Newcomer of CP9. Advertisement. Who? Gobert took a puff of the cigar, and after a while, he let out a puff of smoke leisurely. At this time, he suddenly said, actually, I probably guessed some of the reasons why those black dogs let our marine intervene. Oh, tell me, Cross said with a surprised expression. Just after the Mariajoy attack, Naval Headquarters ordered me to cooperate with those black dogs to receive a batch of goods in the Sabayati archipelago, and make sure the acceptance is smooth. Gobert took another sip of the cigar, and after slowly spitting it out, continued said, as a result, 3 days ago, Naval Headquarters notified me that the mission was cancelled. At that time, I realized that there was a problem with that batch of goods. What cargo? Cross asked suspiciously. I'm not too sure. I asked someone to inquire in the headquarters, but I didn't find out what the goods were, but it doesn't matter. Gobert spread his hands, and said casually, anyway, it is said that those black, 390, leather dogs were transported from the future country, Bakamor on the island of Organ Island. The Marine branch station there also sent to it was escorted by a warship, but was attacked by pirates halfway, and all the goods were robbed. Future country, Bakamor Vegapunk. Cross thought for a few seconds, and slowly said a name. You know Vegapunk too. Gobert was a little surprised, and then said to himself distressedly, yes, why didn't I expect that in future country Bakamoy, to be valued by those black dogs, and to be able to get Marine to send warships to escort, only things related to Vegapunk. The chief scientist of Naval Headquarters, Dr. Vegapunk, who is known by the world as surpassing human intelligence for 500 years, is such a heavyweight, of course I know it. Cross said with a smile. At this time, Jess, Gobert's adjutant, walked into the office slowly, holding a silver tray in his hand, on which were placed 2 gilded white porcelain cups, which contained steaming black coffee, and a canned sugar cubes and a glass of milk. Rear Admiral, Your Excellency Cross, take it easy. He put all the things on the silver tray on the coffee table, said respectfully, and then turned around and walked out. I know you like sweets, try adding more sugar cubes. Gobert said with a smile. But I still like the original black coffee. Advertisement. Life is a sea of bitterness, so I hate bitter things. Cross bit his cigar, reached for a cup of black coffee and put it in front of him, then added several cubes of sugar to it, poured some milk, and took stir lightly with a small spoon. Bitter things can make people remember deeply. Oh, damn, I'm just inviting you to taste coffee, not to discuss any philosophy. Gobert suddenly reacted, and couldn't help it. Life is always full of confusion. It really tastes good. Cross teased, and took a sip of black coffee with sugar cubes and milk. He couldn't help but praise the sweetness and taste. Of course, those businessmen dare not fool me with inferior products. Gobert said proudly. Since the agents of the CP organization let our Marine intervene, can it be guessed that the attackers are in the Sabayati archipelago? Cross smiled and talked about the previous topic again. It's possible. Gobert sipped the black coffee without sugar, and said without interest, maybe it's because the pirates think it's dark under the lights, or maybe it's something else, it doesn't matter. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, there was a knock on the office door. Come in. Gobert raised his head and said something. Crunch. Afterwards, the door was pushed open, and the young adjutant came in, and said in a deep voice, Rear Admiral CP has recruited. As soon as the voice fell, 2 figures walked into the office. One was wearing a black horn helmet, long pink hair, earrings, a black suit, leather shoes and trousers, and a pair of black gloves. Slender, with a cigarette in his mouth, he looked at Gobert and Cross wistfully. The other person was thin, with a scar on his left eye, a pointed beard on his chin, a long braid of marijuana flowers tied behind his back, wearing a black gown, with a rebellious look on his face. Welcome, welcome, do you want coffee? Gobert lazily raised the gold-plated coffee cup in his hand as a gesture. Cross looked at the two people in front of him silently, feeling familiar. There's no need for coffee, we're short on time, let's act now. The man wearing a black horn helmet said bluntly. That's right, solve it early, so I can go back and chase Guy Celine as soon as possible. The other person stroked the pointed beard on his chin, as if he was thinking of something beautiful, and almost laughed out loud. Advertisement. After listening to his companion's words, the man wearing a black horn helmet gave him a disgusted look. Why are you in a hurry? Shouldn't you tell me the details of this mission? Also, why don't you introduce yourself? Cross bit his cigar, exhaled a puff of smoke, and said in a flat tone. You are Amphitheater Cross, I've heard of you, the brightest new star in Marine. The man wearing a black horn helmet looked at Cross and said provocatively, my name is Foz, CP9's strongest agent. This guy's name is Jabra, but you don't have to remember him. I'll introduce myself. And what do you mean don't remember me, are you looking for death? Jabra was furious, growling at Foz. What, are you provoking me? Foz said bluntly. B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** glaring at Foz Fu fiercely. Looking at the two arguing in front of him, Gobert couldn't help feeling a little dazed. At this moment, after hearing the names, Foz Fowler and Jabra, Cross immediately knew their identities. The former is indeed one of the strongest agents of the current CP9, claiming to be on par with the genius Rob Lucci, but in the future because of the failure of the mission, he was sent to the deep-sea prison, impelled down, and imprisoned. After breaking out of prison, he left CP9 and became a pirate, and set up a pirate group of their own, later joined the banner of Beast's Pirates, and was upgraded to Fei Lubao. The latter has always been a member of CP9, until more than 10 years later, the Straw Hat Pirates made a big fuss about Ennie's lobby, he was defeated by Blackfoot Sanji, and later Marines Buster Call Fleet destroyed Ennie's lobby, and he escaped with other CP9 members. CP9. I met your C1.1P9 members on City of Sculpture, Skorky, one named Elmo and one named Gadley, do you know each other? Cross asked with a smile. Road. Oh, you said those two guys. Jabra turned his head, gave up arguing with Foz Fao, and said, Elmo and Gadley went to perform other tasks. Quote. Are you an idiot? How did you learn from Fukuro's bad habit of answering whatever people ask you? Foz Fu shouted angrily. I am willing, can you control it? Besides, this kind of thing is not a big deal, and it is not a confidential matter. Jabra said angrily. B************************** D, I'm going to kill you. Foz Fu cursed angrily. Come on, it's not certain who will kill who. Jabra rolled up his sleeves and confronted Foz Fu without fear. Cross. Gobert. Young Lieutenant. Advertisement Chapter 16 Convincing People with Reason Power. Advertisement. Wild dog, you are courting death. Who do you call a stray dog? Foz Fowler, you fat cat. I'm so strong. Dingo. Roar. Ah. WWW. Foz Fu and Jabra quarreled more and more fiercely, and finally let out a beast-like growl from their throats. The former's canine teeth protruded, while the latter's mouth was full of ferocious fangs, as if it was about to reveal its original shape. Tisk tisk, they are all capable. Gobert, who was sitting on the sofa, watched this scene with relish, and had no intention of stepping forward to stop it. The young adjutant at the door was quite frightened. All right, Cross scolded impatiently, and said angrily, you CIPHERPOL let our marine intervene just to watch your internal strife. If you want to fight, go back to Ennie's lobby and fight. Foz Fu turned his head with a fierce look, and glared at Cross viciously, little brat, what are you? Cross's face turned cold, and he looked at Foz Fu with sharp eyes. Gobert, who was on the opposite sofa, also narrowed his eyes, and quietly placed the coffee cup in his hand in front of the coffee table. Hey, how arrogant, Cross sneered, but disappeared on the sofa in the next second. Bang. The dull loud noise suddenly echoed in the spacious office, causing the ground to tremble slightly. Cross appeared on the spot where Foz was standing, and slowly retracted his arm, while Foz flew out like a cannonball, without even making a sound. He instantly turned into a black shadow that spanned hundreds of meters. The distance between them slammed heavily into the deserted training ground. Bang! There was a huge roar, and the 400x400 empty training ground was lifted up into the sky with thick smoke and dust, and the surging air waves stirred up, as if an earthquake had struck. What's wrong? Advertisement. It's like shelling. Has anyone been attacked? The sudden loud noise made the entire Marine garrison base lively, and many sailors rushed out of their dormitories, either looking alert or panicked. So fast. At this time, Jabra finally realized, and couldn't help looking at Cross, who was close at hand with a horrified expression. Do you want to dance too? Cross stared at Jabra coldly, his gaze piercing into Jabra's heart like lightning. Quote. Jabra felt a terrifying momentum coming like a huge wave, which made him hold his breath, and even took 2 steps back subconsciously. Gulu. Gobert stood up in astonishment, swallowed involuntarily, and reluctantly said, Cross, isn't it a bit too much? The task will be completed later. It's okay. Zone's ability users are very strong. I just punched him. I'll be unconscious for a few hours at most. It won't hinder the next task. Cross said indifferently. Coma for hours. The corners of Gobert and Jabra's mouths twitched, really not knowing what to say. Especially Jabra. He was still rejoicing. Fortunately, he was not the one who spoke just now, otherwise he would be the one who was unconscious for several hours. He didn't even react to that kind of lightning-fast speed, and it's no wonder that Fleur had no chance to fight back, so he was sent flying in an instant. If it was him, even if he had taken precautions, the result might not be the same. Would be great. Ahem, Jess, go outside to appease everyone. At this time, Gobert coughed lightly, and ordered to the adjutant at the door. Also, bring that Lord Fowler back, and let the military doctor check the weight. Yes, Rear Admiral. The young adjutant stammered in response, turned around quickly, and ran away with some staggering steps. If there is a disagreement, do it. Is this the world of monsters? Sabayati Archipelago Island 21. Hurry up, don't dawdle. Advertisement. Be careful, if you fall into the sea, don't drop your things into the sea. Hurry up and finish the move, the captain invites you to a bar in the town to drink. A three-masted pirate ship with a blood-red skull flag was docked on the shore. On the towering main mast, the strong boards were lowered. Dozens of pirates, in groups of 2, were carrying one by one from the ship. Waterproof iron box, send it to Curry on the cliff. There are also many pirates patrolling nearby, keeping some outlaws who seem curious but actually greedy from far away. In this lawless land, there is no law at all, only strength is the last word, not to mention pirates, even if Marine comes, they can only die here without strength. Sure. The middle-aged man known as Captain 327 Dingleman nodded and said in a deep voice, this is the territory of naval headquarters and world government, we can't stay for long, if we are targeted by the black rats organized by the CP, there will be big troubles. Trouble. It's not wrong. I left at Gopher Knock before. I probably went to work in the town. Now I saw Blood Eater, Dingeman and Cutthroat Monster, Denelli on the shore. So, are you ready to do it? See clearly, it's the Blood Pirates. The person who gave the strange smile was a man with cold eyes, a burn scar on half of his face, and black bandages all over his body. He was tall and thin, holding a long-handled sharp knife. Heck, don't worry, Mr. Dingeman, Nock has contacted 5 coders, and they will start work later, and the code can be completed before noon tomorrow at the most. At the same time, on the edge of the town a few hundred meters away, several CP agents in black suits stood on the top of a 4-story building, with a long telescope in front of them, and one of them was using this telescope to observe the coast. Denelli, have you contacted the coder? After several CP agents discussed with each other, one of them took out a phone bug and dialed a specific number. Code as soon as possible. See clearly. Contact CP9 and Marine, get started. There were even some pirates who were weak. After being defeated by the outlaws on the Sabayati archipelago, not only their belongings were looted, but they were even taken away by human traffickers and sold to celestial dragons as slaves. A middle-aged man wearing a conspicuous bright red tuxedo stood on the shore, his black hair was combed into a big back, and he looked at his subordinates who were carrying iron boxes with a calm expression. The index finger of the ruby ring moved back and forth once in a while. The bandage geek named Denelli grinned ferociously, and excitedly stuck out his tongue to lick the blade of the long-handled sharp knife in his hand. It seems that the Blood Pirates arrived at the Sabayati archipelago, and they are indeed preparing to send the goods to New World. Gopher Knock is probably looking for a coder. That's exciting, Mr. Dingleman, giggling. Advertisement Chapter 17 Operational Background and Operational Planning. Advertisement. Buzz. The loud buzzing of the alarm echoed in the Marine garrison base, and the entire Island 66 quickly became lively. A large number of Marine soldiers were dispatched, all armed with guns and cannons, and fully armed. There are 3,000 Marine elites in Sabayati Archipelago's Marine base. In order to cooperate with the CP organization's actions, Gobert Rear Admiral, the base chief, directly dispatched 2,000 people, carrying mortars, rocket launchers, seastone chain nets, etc. Various weapons. According to the battle plan prepared in advance, 2,000 Marine soldiers were divided into 2 groups, one from the land and the other from the sea by warship. On the surface of the sea, 2 Tier 3 Marine warships cut through the waves and sailed out of the Marine port on Island 66 quickly, with the flag of Justice Seagull flying high in the wind. In the captain's room of one of the warships, Cross and several Marine officers gathered around the round table, as well as Fuzzy Fu and Jabra from CP9. Now, repeat this mission again. Cross looked at the 2 of CP9 with a deep and powerful voice. Fuzzy Fu covered his somewhat red and swollen face, looked at Jabra next to him with a gloomy expression, and then turned his head silently. Ahem, okay, let me tell you. Jabra coughed lightly, stroked his pointed beard in a somewhat wretched way, and said slowly, 20 days ago, the world government sent a warship to future country Bakamoa. The purpose is to transport a batch of goods back to Holy Land Mariajoy, and the local Marine branch sent 2 warships to escort them when they returned, a total of 1 second-class warship and 2 third-class warships. But on the way back, the fleet was attacked by the Blood Pirates, all the goods were robbed, and the entire fleet was wiped out. According to the investigation, the Blood Pirates were hired by the Charlotte Pirates, one of the overlords of the New World. Now, The Blood Pirates appear on Island 7 of the Sabayati Archipelago for the purpose of coding, and then send things to New World, to the hands of the Charlotte Pirates. Speaking of this, Jabra paused for a moment, and said with a little hesitation, "As for the detailed information of the cargo, it is a secret of the world government, and you have no right to know it yet." "I see." Cross nodded without changing his face, and the other Marine officers did not have any comments. Most of the secret missions carried out by the CP organization, or important confidential missions, in many cases, Marine has no right to know, unless it is Vice Admiral, or even Admiral-level generals have the right to know, so he doesn't care. Advertisement. What's more, this mission is only to recapture the robbed goods, there is no need to know what the goods are. After all, sometimes it is not good to know too much. Afterwards, Cross looked at everyone present, and said in a deep voice, "This time the opponent is the Blood Pirates, a group of mercenary-type pirates who go back and forth between the first half and the second half of the Grand Line all the year round. All missions accepted." According to the investigation of the Intelligence Department, there are more than 500 people in the Blood Pirates, all of whom are ferocious and athletic. Among them are 3 pirates with high rewards. Captain, Blood Eater, Dingeman, Paramesha Blood for those with blood fruit abilities, a bounty of 260 million is offered. Officer Cutthroat Freak Denelli, a bounty of 115 million Baileys is offered. Officer Gopher Knock, Paramesha Dong % Dong fruit ability user, a bounty of 77 million Baileys is offered. Officer Lightning Legs Maliki, a long-legged foot fighter, has a bounty of 70 million Baileys. The above 4 people are the core of the Blood Pirates. While Cross was speaking, someone spread out the 4 reward orders of the Blood Pirates on the table for everyone to watch. "Now, I repeat the battle plan again." Cross looked around everyone with a cold expression, and said solemnly, "This battle is mainly based on the Marine garrison base of Sabayati Archipelago, with 2,000 people participating in the battle, and the plan is to divide the troops into 2 groups. On land, 1,000 Marine soldiers led by Gobert Rear Admiral, together with CP agents on the Sabayati Archipelago, are tasked with sealing off Island 7 where the target is located, occupying all access bridges, and preventing anyone from entering and exiting 7 number Island. We are on the sea route, with 1,000 Marine soldiers and 2 third-tier warships, commanded by my newly promoted Lieutenant Colonel Amphitheater Cross, and with the cooperation of 2 CP9 agents, the task is to destroy or capture the enemy pirate ship, cut off the back route of the mission target. It is now 13:45, and the combat time will start on time at 1400, and there are still 15 minutes. After the land and sea parties have completed their respective initial tasks, they will begin the final battle of annihilation, striving to eliminate the Blood Pirates in one battle and recapture the stolen goods." At this point, Cross's voice became high, and he said fiercely, "Remember, this battle is not just a mission, but also to avenge the comrades in the future country, Bakamoa branch. To avenge the innocent civilians who died at the hands of the Blood Pirates." Advertisement. Yes, revenge. For comrades. For innocent civilians. Revenge. 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 Immediately, the school officers in the captain's room became excited, their faces flushed, and they couldn't help shouting. Facing the Marines, passion, the eyes of Fosfau and Jabra became more subtle. After looking at each other involuntarily, they turned their heads softly. As members of CP9, cold-blooded killers, it is impossible for them to be as passionate as Marine, roaring to avenge their dead comrades, because they are destined to be agents walking in the dark, and things like emotion and revenge cannot appear on them. Tread tat t. T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T. At the same time, Gobert Rear Admiral led 1,000 Marine soldiers from the land, walking on the numbered tree islands of the Sabayati Archipelago. The dense footsteps were clearly audible, and attracted the attention of countless people for a while. Between Island 66 and Island 7, there are dozens of numbered tree islands, the Good Kings, and it is too far away from Marine's base. This is one of the reasons why Island 7 has become a lawless zone. Because once something happens, there is no way for Marine to arrive at the first time. However, the movement of thousands of Marines crossing the streets and alleys was still very adult, making countless people rush to wonder and bewildered. What's the big deal? Why so many Marines? Is there going to be a war? Could it be to exterminate the group of outlaws in the lawless zone? Many civilians looked at the long queue of Marine soldiers in front of them, and couldn't help discussing with their familiar relatives and friends. Hurry up! Don't fall behind! Gobert Rear Admiral stood on the side of the road, yelling at the marching subordinates, then took out a silver pocket watch from his pocket, and glanced at the time on it. Advertisement Chapter 18 Target Confirmation, Blood Drop, Pirate Ship. Advertisement. Sabayati Archipelago Island No. 7. Time passed by every minute and every second, and when the hour hand almost reached 1400, 2 Marine warships appeared on the sea. Cross stood on the bow deck of one of the warships, holding a spotting telescope and watching a pirate ship docked on the shore of Island 7. It is now 13:59, 51, 52, 53, 1400, the time is up, and the battle begins. Target confirmed, 1200 meters ahead, Blood Drop, Pirate Ship. Fire. Cross stared at the silver pocket watch in his hand, and when the hour hand reached the predetermined time, he decisively issued a combat order. At the same time, on the pirate ship of the Blood Pirates, the vigilant pirate was standing in the watchtower of the main mast, just in time to see the oncoming Marine battleship. The pirate's face changed suddenly, and he shouted in horror, "Damn, Marine is here!" Boom, boom. However, in the next second, the bow turrets of the 2 warships roared like thunder, interrupting the pirate's next words. The four thick barrels fired shells almost at the same time, and the hot, pitch-black shells shot out, flying rapidly in the air, creating violent friction with the air, and the 850 roared towards the blood drop. The pirate ship flies away. Among Marine standard warships, the bows of the first-class warships and second-class warships are triple-mounted turrets, and only the bows of third-class warships are double-mounted turrets. However, the four shells all landed in the sea more than 10 meters away from the pirate ship, except for a few high-water jets. They did not cause any damage to the pirate ship. Lean up, follow the strike and don't stop. Seeing this scene, Cross was not surprised, and continued to issue orders, explaining, the CP organization has already found out that the stolen goods have been transported by pirates to the warehouse on the shore. Don't be afraid to sink that pirate ship. Quote. Yes, advertisement. The surrounding sailors responded in unison. Boom, 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 boom. Afterwards, the two warships advanced with full sail and quickly approached the pirate ship. The twin main guns on the bow continued to fire continuously. In naval battles during the time of sailing battleships, the bombardment was not that accurate. Even if the Marine had artillery technology far superior to that of the pirates, it was almost impossible to hit the enemy ship with the first round of bombardment at a distance of 800 meters, unless it's almost luck. Fortunately, the large-caliber main guns of Marines' dual-mounted turrets adopt the breech-loading mode, which is simple to operate, coupled with skilled gunners, and then I saw that when Marines' two warships were sailing at high speed, they shelled the pirate ships of the Blood Pirates, firing round after round of shells. However, on the pirate ship of the Blood Pirates, the pirates on duty themselves were panicked by the sudden attack by Marine, and when they rushed to their respective artillery positions. The operation of the front-loading artillery is too cumbersome. Before they finished cleaning the barrel, loading the gunpowder, tamping the gunpowder, pouring the priming powder, and so on, the pirate ship was shocked suddenly and was shot. Fire shells. A loud bang was heard, and the shell hit the sidestring of the blood drop pirate ship, and a thunderous roar erupted on the spot. The powerful shells easily shattered the wooden hull. Under the strong shock wave caused by the explosion of the gunpowder, the hot flames, irregular shrapnel and burning wood formed a fan shape, engulfing the ship like a violent storm. Narrow cabin. No way, wooden ships are most afraid of such explosive shells. I saw a big hole was punched in the side string of the blood drop pirate ship, 2 gun emplacements were affected, and at least a dozen pirates were injured or died. In addition, the place where the blood drop pirate ship was hit still ignited raging flames, and there were flames burning outside and inside the ship, and thick smoke billowed for a while, even blocking the shooting sight of other gun positions. Fortunately, the size of this pirate ship is not small, with a length of more than 60 meters. It is larger than the third-level warship of Marine and smaller than the second-level warship. Boom, 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 boom. Immediately afterwards, the blood drop pirate ship also began to counterattack. The artillery on this side fired successively, firing 7 or 8 shells scatteredly. It's a pity that the accuracy of the front-loading artillery is not high, and the shells flying out are relatively scattered. Coupled with the evasion of the Marine battleship, the distance has been shortened to 400 meters, and even a single shot missed. But the most unlucky thing is not this point. The blood drop pirate ship was suddenly attacked by Marine, and its own counterattack was very hasty, and the fighting time was not long, so that the lowered anchor had not had time to be put away. The rope fixed on the shore was not untied, which made the blood drop pirate ship unable to move, unable to cruise and avoid, and could only be beaten passively. At this time, Cross also discovered the shortcomings of the pirate ship Erdi. Advertisement. Separate the warships, attack from the left and right sides, and avoid the opponent's frontal shooting. Cross ordered in a deep voice. Boom. _W. After a while, the two warships separated, one from the left and the other from the right, and quickly opened a distance of hundreds of meters, attacking from the bow and stern of the blood drop pirate ship respectively. Although the blood drop pirate ship also has artillery at the bow and stern, but the number is scarce and the firepower is too weak. It hurts me. Help me. Help me. Ship doctor. Where is the ship doctor? My eyes. I can't see. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, 4 balls of fire rose from the 60-meter-long pirate ship. The violent explosion caused countless pieces of wood to fly horizontally, and the raging fire burned directly on the ship. Boom. Extinguish the fire. Extinguish the fire quickly. Don't burn the powder keg. Amid the deafening sound of cannonballs, 4 hot pitch-black cannonballs flew out, making sharp and strange howls in the air, and hit the blood drop pirate ship in a blink of an eye. In this regard, Marine warships are much better. At least the double or triple gun turrets on the bow can move left and right, plus the large caliber gun barrel and breech loading technology, both in terms of firepower and rate of fire. It is very powerful and will never fall into the danger of the blood drop pirate ship. Because the blood drop pirate ship is in a moored state, the anchor is lowered, and the rope is fixed on the shore, which not only prevents the ship from moving, but also keeps the guns on the sidestring in a fixed state, so they can only fire at the front. After all, in the era of sailing battleships, they were equipped with front-loading artillery with low shooting accuracy and slow rate of fire. Only by relying on dense artillery salvos could they destroy enemy ships. Just move. Otherwise, the sailing battleship would not be equipped with a large number of artillery on the left and right sides, not to ensure flexible shooting range and intensive firepower. At this moment, the pirates on the blood drop pirate ship also sensed their own danger. Although some pirates ran to the gun positions at the bow and stern of the ship, before they had time to fire, the two warships of Marine started to fire again. Another round of shelling. At this moment, the pirates on the two artillery decks suffered heavy casualties. Some were burned by flames, some had their hands and feet severed by shrapnel, and some were beaten into blood by flying pieces of wood, all kinds of painful miserable wailing one after another. In just one round of shelling, 4 shells hit at close range, causing serious damage to the pirate ship. The narrow cabin is in a mess, with blood and broken limbs everywhere. Such a cruel scene, coupled with the pungent smell of gunpowder and the strong smell of blood, makes the scene reappear like hell. Advertisement Chapter 19 The Blood Pirates Response. Advertisement. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of the rumbling guns reverberated on the open sea, like a thunderstorm on a sunny day, which disturbed island number 7 and several numbered islands around it. What happened? Thunder. Our cannon. It sounds like the sound of artillery. Go and see what's going on. The hearts of the outlaws in this lawless place trembled, especially those who have been at sea all year round, and soon heard from the continuous roar that it was the sound of artillery, and it was from a battleship, heavy naval guns sound. Apart from celestial dragons, only Marine, or the lunatic among pirates, can fire in the waters beside the Sabayati archipelago so unscrupulously. Master Denelli, it's bad, our ship was attacked by Marine's warship. Outside a large warehouse on the edge of the town, a pirate ran over, yelling in horror. Denelli, who looked like a weirdo with bandages, came out of the warehouse, grabbed the other party's collar, and said with a smile, he was actually discovered, it seems that Mr. Dingleman is going to have a headache. Marine, how many people are here? No, I don't know, in short, there are 2 warships. The pirate who came to report the news stammered. Go and inform Mr. Dingleman, maybe we will have a fight between Sabayati Archipelago and Marine, cluck, it's so exciting. Denelli became excited, and the burn scar on his face became distorted and even more so fear. No, I'm back. At this time, Dingeman, who was wearing a conspicuous bright red tuxedo, came from outside, followed by hundreds of subordinates. When I heard the gunfire in the town, I felt something was wrong. I didn't expect it to be Marine. No, it should be an agent of the world government. We were discovered by those all-pervasive guys, that's why Marines came to attack us so soon. Mr. Dingeman, our ship has been severely damaged, and 2 of the masters who helped us with the coating were killed by Marines' shells. The pirate who came to report Way said quickly. Advertisement. Where's that guy Meliki? I remember he stayed on the boat. With that guy's strength, it shouldn't be difficult to kick the shells away. Dingeman squinted his eyes. Asked, holding back his anger. The pirate looked embarrassed, and hesitated for a few seconds before saying, that. Master Maliki drank too much, and has been sleeping on the boat, and we still can't wake up. Hearing this, Dingeman's facial muscles twitched, he gritted his teeth and said angrily, that B**************, does he want to be drained of blood by me and become a human? Bolu bolu bolu, bolu bolu bolu. Suddenly, a call of a phone bug came from Dingeman's arms, attracting the attention of all the pirates in the Blood Pirates. Dingeman frowned, reached out and took out a chubby phone bug with a pointed chin from his arms. Click. Knock. Where are you? Lord Dingleman, I'm on Island 8, but you seem to be blocked on Island 7. I saw a lot of sailors on the bridge connecting Island 7 and Island 8. My god, they gave the bridge to it's blocked, no one is allowed to enter or leave. I also heard the sound of gunfire, have we been discovered? Oh, damn it, dozens of brothers and I are still on Island 8, should we rush over to find you? When the phone bug opened his mouth, he kept talking like a chatterbox. Shut up and let me clear my mind. Dingeman felt a headache for a while, and couldn't help scolding. Okay, Lord Dingeman, it seems that we have been discovered, what a headache. Damn it, shut up. Shut up, shut up. Okay, I shut up. Stop talking. Hearing the conversation on the phone number, Tuberculosis finally closed his mouth. Dingeman couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief, and stretched out his hands to rub his swollen temples. Although Noak is a talkative guy, he also learned important news from the other party. Obviously, Marine is prepared, not only launching an attack from the sea, but also an army on land. Advertisement. Since Marine has blocked the bridge connecting Island 7 and Island 8, the bridges leading to other islands from Island 7 will probably also be blocked, and the Marine warships at sea will attack our ships as soon as they come. They made up their minds to wipe us out on Island 7 of the Sabayati archipelago. Dingeman mused to himself while thinking. Hearing the words of their own captain, everyone in the Blood Pirates changed their expressions. I'll let you guys know after I've defeated the Marine on the sea road, and I'll take my stuff and retreat together. Hearing Denelli's words, Dingeman also felt irritated, and said unhappily, then what should we do? We can't fight with them on our shoulders, can we? 0. As soon as he finished speaking, he thought of a solution, so he said to Denelli, I will leave 50 people for you, and you will be responsible for guarding them. The others will follow me to seize the ship, and by the way, let Nock be on the 8th island. Make some noise, the bigger the better, it must attract the attention of Marines on land. Mr. Dingleman, do you have any plans? Giggle, Denelli asked. Dingeman's face sank, and he said seriously, as a righteous army, Marine is the only overlord on the sea. Besides, I heard that a powerful newcomer appeared in naval headquarters recently, and his symbol is riding a giant silver eagle, came and went like the wind, and many people in the tavern were discussing that when the Mariajoy attack happened, that newcomer quelled the chaos on dozens of islands in one night, maybe this time we can meet. Giggle, then I'll have a good time. Denelli grinned grinningly, sticking out his tongue more interestedly, licking the blade of the long-handled sharp knife in his hand. Afterwards, Dingeman said something to the phone bug who hadn't hung up the call in his hand, and then hung up the phone bug decisively without waiting for the talkative Nock to answer. Noke, don't act yet, pay attention to concealment, and don't notify me. I'm fine with the plan, but there are Marine siege on the island and in the sea, wouldn't they be trapped here to die? Asking for flowers. Marine attacked our ship from the sea, probably wanting to destroy or capture Blood Drop, and cut off our way of escape, so we fought back, defeated Marine on the sea road, and strived to retake Blood Drop. If open black lens bracket the Blood Drop was destroyed, so we tried to snatch a warship, and then went around to the other side to pick up Nock. Dingeman replied. Click. Wait, there is a solution. Don't underestimate Marine. Donnelly turned his head to look at dozens of large iron boxes piled up in the warehouse, and asked again, what should I do with these things? If they are discarded here, they will probably be snatched back by agents of the Marine or world government. Heck, Marine really has a big appetite. With the garrison of the Sabayati archipelago, aren't you afraid of being overwhelmed? Donnelly sneered. Now who doesn't know that Marine is focusing on the monsters in New World? Could it be that Kong, Sora personally dispatched it? However, I guess we don't have such a big face yet. Advertisement Chapter 20 Drunkard. Advertisement. Bang. A shell accurately hit the main mast of the Blood Drop pirate ship. With the loud explosion, a hot fireball rose up, and the tall main mast broke in the middle on the spot, and flames ignited at the break and on the sailing ship. Fire. Ah, the mainmast is broken. Extinguish the fire. Extinguish the fire. Damn it, is today our end? On the pirate ship, Blood Drop, the pirates ran around in panic, busy fighting the fire, and screaming so loudly that even the rumbling cannons couldn't cover it. There were also many pirates who were affected by the flames, and were ignited into human-shaped torches, screaming and running around on the deck. Some of them jumped into the sea and extinguished the flames on their bodies, but some before he could jump into the sea, he was engulfed in flames. Crunch. The door of the 2000 room opened, and a red-haired blonde man walked out, smelling strongly of alcohol, holding a bottle of half-drunk rum in his hand, shaking. Jingjing walked out. It's really noisy. Drunk-eyed, he looked at the fire on the deck in confusion, and asked, Huh? Are you playing with fire? Master Maliki, you finally woke up. A pirate ran over and cried, we were attacked by the Marine, and the main mast of Blood Drop was broken. At the same time, on the bow deck of a Marine battleship, Cross looked at the severely damaged pirate ship Blood Drop with satisfaction. Lieutenant Colonel Cross, do you want to continue the bombardment? A sailor asked. No, stop the shelling. Cross smiled and shook his head, and ordered, next, get the boat up. It's time to stretch your muscles. If the boat sinks, it will be difficult to salvage treasures and the like. Clear. Hearing this, the sailor and the surrounding sailors all smiled at the same time. According to Marine's practice, the seized property only needs to be handed over to 3 levels. For the remaining 7 floors, chief officers like Cross can occupy 1 floor exclusively, other officers can share 3 floors of spoils, and the remaining 3 floors are distributed to soldiers participating in the battle. Therefore, once they sink this pirate ship, salvage after the war will be troublesome, and maybe due to factors such as currents, wandering fish, and sea kings, the spoils of war may become unrecoverable or disappear. This is not so unusual. Therefore, the sailors would rather take risks and engage in gang battles to capture enemy ships than not get enough spoils after the battle. After all, sea soldiers are also human beings. Apart from having justice in their hearts, they can't resist vulgar things like money. This is the reality. Not far away, Fosfau and Jabra were not surprised when they saw this scene, and obviously they were all familiar with it. Advertisement. Afterwards, the 2 warships stopped their bombardment, and approached the bow and stern of the Blood Drop pirate ship from left to right. The Blood Drop pirate ship had already been severely damaged, and nearly half of the 200 pirates left behind were killed or injured, and they were powerless to stop Marine's warship from approaching. Shoot, shoot, stop Marine, don't let them board. Don't fight the fire, stop the Marine. However, the pirates on the Blood Drop pirate ship were dying, and they picked up their weapons one after another, trying to stop Marine's attack. Bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, there was loud gunfire, like frying beans. The pirates stood on the deck, holding muskets and shooting at Marine's warships, and even used throwing weapons such as spears, throwing axes, and harpoons. Go out, Cross shouted in a deep voice. Gee, roar. Cuckoo. Hundreds of activated creatures flew out from the 2 warships, fiercely culling towards the Blood Drop pirate ship. What is that, monster? Shoot, shoot him down. The pirates of the Blood Pirates were terrified, and quickly shot at the sky, trying to knock down the flexible living creature. However, everything was a delusion. I saw hundreds of flying living creatures swooping down like sharp arrows, killing a pirate quickly and accurately. In a blink of an eye, the deck of the Blood Drop pirate ship was occupied by a group of living creatures made of stone or metal. Before the pirates could react, they were already dead or injured. B*********** D thing. Suddenly, a loud shout was like a thunderclap. I saw a long-legged blond man with his face flushed. He rushed to the nearest giant stone bird with a few strides, and then swept across with a rusty and beautiful high whip leg. Advertisement. Bang. This leg was swung out like a steel whip, so fast that only an afterimage could be seen, and even a strong wind was blown up, and it kicked heavily on this giant bird, which was nearly 2 meters tall and had a wingspan of more than 4 meters. Just like kicking, the giant bird into rubble shot all over the sky. That guy is. Jabra took a step forward, took out a reward order from his pocket, glanced at it and said, Lightning Leg, Maliki offers a reward of 70 million Baileys. I saw that the man was about 3 meters tall, had short blonde hair, was wearing a beige coat, and had a blood-colored skull tattoo on his bare chest. Because he was a long-legged man, his legs were different from ordinary people. Wears silver metal leggings and boots. However, this guy looked as if he had drunk too much, his face was flushed, and he even walked a little shaky. As this guy called Lightning Leg, Cross looked at Maliki with a blank face, and said with disdain, it's just a bit of good kicking skills, isn't this title too exaggerated? Foz held a cigarette in his mouth, and after slowly exhaling a puff of smoke, he couldn't help but sarcastically said, this idiot clearly has a very poor capacity for alcohol, and he likes to drink until he's drunk, he's really a prince. Cross turned his head to look at Foz, and asked, are you going to arrest him? HMPH, our target is not him. Foz snorted softly. Then leave it to me. Cross said something lightly, and then rushed out with a stride, directly across the sea surface of tens of meters like a cannonball. Boom. In the next second, Cross landed heavily on the deck of the Blood Drop pirate ship, and the loud sound attracted the attention of Maliki and some 0.5 surviving pirates. Huh, are there 2 brats here? No, it seems to be 3, don't care, I'll die. Maliki looked at Cross with dazed eyes, then shook his head vigorously, trying to wake himself up a bit. Immediately, his shaky figure suddenly stood still, and quickly rushed towards Cross. Jin. In no time, Maliki rushed in front of Cross, and with the help of his sprinting speed, a whip kick was fast and urgent, sweeping out like a sickle, and even set off a biting wind. But at almost the same time, Cross looked indifferently at Maliki who was close at hand, and pressed his right hand on the handle of Jingsho at some point. One sword Ryokai Moro slash. Kanglang. The sound of unsheathing was clear and audible, and the sharp knife erupted like a volcanic eruption. Advertisement Chapter 21 Meeting Dingeman for the first time. Advertisement. Whew. Cross rushed forward like a bolt of black lightning, intersected with Maliki for an instant, and with the soft sound of piercing into the flesh, blood splashed into the air, and there was a strong air turbulence around it, which turned into a naked eye on the spot. Severe winds spread in all directions. Blood drop on the deck of the pirate ship, the surviving pirates were stunned, looking at Maliki in a daze. So fast, so fierce. At this moment, Maliki murmured to himself with an inexplicable expression, and then slowly lowered his head to look, only to see a hideous wound on his chest with deep visible bones, and bright red blood gushing out like a fountain. Cross turned his back to Maliki, held the handle of Jingsho knife, and slowly put the last piece of the knife back into the scabbard, then turned around, and said in a flat tone, if you don't drink well, don't drink. Obviously have good kicking skills, but only display this level, not everyone can be that monster Kaido. So, it's just a kid. There was a wry smile on Maliki's red face, his body swayed, and he fell to the ground with a plop. Blood soon stained the deck beneath him. 14. McLean. One blow defeated Maliki who offered a bounty of 70 million Baileys. The pirates screamed in horror, their morale collapsed immediately, they all turned around and jumped off the pirate ship, fleeing towards the shore. Wait, this aura, is it the master, or is it another cadre? Suddenly, Cross turned his head abruptly, looking in the upward direction with sharp eyes. Hurry up, don't dawdle, B****************** D Marine, let's fight. You son of ABCH, you actually sneaked up on us. At this moment, a large group of people rushed out from the woods on the bank, all of them were dark-skinned and muscular, holding hot weapons such as machetes, big axes, or muskets, and they were cursing, constant swearing. But among the group of people, only the leader of a man attracted Cross's attention, especially the bright red tuxedo on his body was very conspicuous, and he was holding a 3-meter-high dark red long-handled sickle in his hand. The bounty is 260 million Baileys, Blood-Eater Dingleman, your pirate ship is now mine. Cross walked to the guardrail beside the ship and shouted loudly towards the shore. Dingeman stopped suddenly, and a group of people behind him also stopped. Advertisement. Everyone looked at the Blood Drop pirate ship that was burned by the fire and the young sailors on the deck, and they couldn't help showing anger. Mr. Dingleman, the pirate ship has been taken by Marine. It's that sea soldier who chopped down Lord Meliki with a single knife, what a monster. Avenge us, Mr. Dingleman. The dozen or so surviving pirates who escaped from the pirate ship looked at the reinforcements arriving in surprise, and came to Dingeman in front of them, crying in aggrieved and terrified. And brought bad news to Dingeman and others. Nani, Maliki defeated. Upon hearing the news of Meliki's defeat, Dingeman and the others couldn't help showing shocking expressions on their faces. From the warehouse on the edge of the town, through the woods, to the shore where the Blood Drop pirate ship is docked, the distance is only a few hundred meters away, so I can arrive very quickly, but I didn't expect it to be in such a short time. Not only has the pirate ship been taken away, but even Lightning Leg Maliki, who has a bounty of 70 million Baileys, has been defeated. It's like a joke. Go away. Dingeman's face was gloomy, he pushed aside the pirates in front of him, and carefully observed the situation in front of him. I only saw that the 2 warships of Marine had docked, not only sandwiched the severely damaged Blood Drop pirate ship on the left and right, but also a large number of sailors were landing, or gathered on the deck of the warship get ready to go ashore. Mr. Dingeman, what should we do? The pirate on the side asked in a concentrated voice. How to do? Dingeman squinted his eyes, suddenly smiled instead of anger, and said, since Marine wants to fight, we will fight with them. Let my sickle open black lens bracket nil and close black lens bracket drink Marine's blood again. After finishing speaking, Dingeman clenched the long-handled sickle in his hand, and rushed forward at the first. That's right, fight Marine. Come on, follow Mr. Dingleman. Damn Marine, die. Seeing their own captain taking the lead, about 200 pirates from the Blood Pirates shouted one after another, charging towards the landing Marine. It's treacherous to try to drive us into the sea while our footing is unstable. Blood drop on the deck of the pirate ship, Cross stroked his chin thoughtfully, seeing through the intentions of those pirates at a glance. Advertisement. Immediately, Cross waved his hand and said loudly, "For justice. For justice." Thousands of sailors shouted in unison. Especially the more than 100 sailors who had already landed, after raising their weapons and shouting, they all charged towards the pirates in front of them without fear. Kanglang. Seeing this, Cross grinned excitedly, and directly pulled out Jing Shu from his waist and jumped from the pirate ship to the green grassy shore. In the next second, the activated creatures on the Blood Drop pirate ship flew up one after another, like startled birds. But this group of flying birds are too aggressive, one by one, like eagles preying on their prey, rushing ferociously towards the pirates in front. What kind of weird thing is this? Gargoyle, how can there be such a legendary creature in the world? Ah, let me go. Shoot, shoot, shoot this group of things down 147. In an instant, the fierce gunshots of bang 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 continued to explode like fried beans, and the activated creatures fought with the pirates of the Blood Pirates. It has to be said that the strength of these pirates is quite good, although there are pirates who were captured by activated creatures and brought to hundreds of meters in the air and thrown down to death. However, some activated creatures were knocked down by the pirates, fell heavily on the ground, and were smashed into a pile of rubble. Immediately afterwards, Marine also joined the melee, and the fighting became more intense. Go away, bloody moon. At this time, Dingeman watched a stone eagle catch one of his pirates, then directly brought him hundreds of meters into the air and threw him down, throwing him to death. The anger in his heart erupted instantly. I saw him holding a sickle Nilan in both hands, slashing forward vigorously. Rumble. Immediately, a strong blood light suddenly appeared, and dark red slashes burst out, like a crescent of blood, and like Shinigami's sickle, cutting all the dozen or so living creatures in front of them into two halves with roaring momentum. Hey, did you ask my permission to kill my men like this? One blade flow flying Mang. Cross rushed forward like a cannonball, and the Jingsho in his hand slashed out a blue-white sharp slash, and flew out with a whistling speed, almost cutting off the air. Advertisement Chapter 22 Paramesha Blood Fruit. Advertisement. It's just some broken stones, this is your fruit ability. Dingeman recognized the difference between these activated creatures at a glance, and his movements were not slow when speaking. With a wave of the long scythe inverse wheel in his hand, with a sound of scandium, the oncoming slash was thrown away. You guess. Cross smiled playfully, and quickly leaned forward. The Jingsho in his hand was like a black electric light, heading straight for Dingeman's neck. Dingeman on the opposite side reacted quickly, and immediately raised his long scythe to parry, just in time to block Jingshu's sharp edge with the long metal handle. Clang. When the two collided, there was a loud sound of gold and iron clashing, the collision of powerful forces made the air tremble, and then a strong wind visible to the naked eye was set off, and the momentum spread in all directions, stirring up a thick puff of smoke and dust. A lot of strength. Dingeman's expression was stunned. He felt a huge shock in his hands, the long scythe in his hand almost fell out, and the ground under his feet sank as if it couldn't bear it, forming a pit. Ha! If you can block my knife, the high reward of 206 million Baileys is the real thing. Cross said in a frivolous tone, holding the handle of Jing Shu with both hands and pushing it forward forcefully. When I was wandering in the sea, you were still drinking milk at home. It's too arrogant, brat. Dingeman held the long scythe reverse wheel tightly, but instead of wrestling with Cross, he used his magic power to remove it. Go to the power of Cross. I saw the long knife slashing across the shaft of the long sickle, rubbing a series of sparks. Afterwards, Dingeman swung his long sickle, drew a semicircle in the air, and cut it obliquely, just like the basic sword technique in kendo, the Kasaya chop, especially the sharp dark red sickle, which seemed to cut even the air. Split. Want to split Cross into two. Clang. However, before Dingeman's move was fully implemented, the Jingsho in Cross's hand was raised high, and he neatly knocked the opponent's long scythe aside, and the collision of the weapons once again stirred up a circle of flesh. Percent visible air ripples. Uncle, if you look at winning or losing based on age, the human race should be the one who rules this world. Cross said sarcastically. Sharp mouth. Dingeman's face turned cold, and he directly smashed forward with the sickle of the long sickle in his hand, and stabbed at Cross with the sharp end of the tail. Hearing the sound of scandium, the ring-shaped strong wind spread, and Cross, who was parrying with a long knife, was pushed back several meters. Wait until I drain the blood from your body and turn you into a mummy, let's see what else you can say with your mouth. In the next second, Dingeman took the initiative to attack, swung the long scythe inverse wheel and slashed towards Cross like a windmill. Advertisement. Haha, you don't want to drain my blood with this move. Cross laughed loudly, jumped up, and let the opponent's scythe pass under his feet. Taste. Rumble. In an instant, a sharp sickle wind visible to the naked eye erupted, cutting off a big tree in the distance in an instant, and the upper half of the trunk, which was more than 10 meters long, collapsed, stirring up a burst of smoke and dust, and the incision was even smoother without a trace rough. One-shot shooting star. In midair, Cross held Jingsho upside down with both hands, and fell down very quickly. Dingman raised his head and looked at the top of his head, feeling the sharp wind blowing towards his face made his skin hurt like a knife, so he dodged aside without saying a word. Bang! Immediately, Cross slammed heavily on the ground like a meteorite falling, the long knife in his hand sank into the ground, and the ground trembled, and was blasted by the force of this blow to create a large crater with a diameter of more than 5 meters, and there were even dozens of multiple cracks extended outward, and surging air waves swept outward, setting off thick smoke and dust. Ahem. Dingman, who dodged not far away, was coughed twice by the smoke and dust, and quickly covered his face with his hands to prevent the dust from entering his eyes, and saw the big crater on the ground through his fingers, and couldn't help being slightly surprised. If he was hit by this blow, his body would definitely be pierced through. Immediately, Cross stood up slowly, pulled out Jingsho into the ground, and then exchanged a glance with Dingman on the opposite side. Attack him. The next moment, Cross yelled sharply, and then rushed towards Dingman with a stride. Quote. At this time, a long eagle cry echoed in the sky. The sudden black shadow blocked the sunlight on Dingman's body, and he couldn't help but make him look up, and saw a huge silver giant eagle descending from the sky, hitting at speed like a silver arrow. What a big eagle! Dingman's eyelids twitched, and he swung the long scythe in his hand suddenly, setting off a bitter new wind and slashing towards the top of his head. Blood moon. Advertisement. A bloody crescent moon flew out, roaring towards the silver giant eagle. Bang! In an instant, the silver giant eagle was split by the bloody crescent moon. However, almost at the same time, Dingman squatted down suddenly, and reached out to touch the ground, because he shouted, "Blood bite!" Roar. What his palm touched was the ground soaked in blood, and strands of blood around him quickly gathered towards him, and in a blink of an eye, a giant blood python nearly 10 meters long was formed, with its ferocious bloody mouth roaring, incomparably swift. Bite toward the Cross in front. So fast. Cross only felt a blur in front of his eyes, and found that the blood python had already rushed in front of him, which made him stop subconsciously, and without thinking, he swung his knife and slashed in front of him. Laugh. A lightning-like knife cut off the head of the blood python on the spot, but the clothes on his chest were still bitten off, which was extremely thrilling. If he slowed down by half a minute, what was bitten off would be a piece of meat from his chest. Little ghost, I admit that you have some strength. Dingman grinned regretfully, and said softly, but, as a Paramesha blood fruit ability user, the blood flowing on the battlefield is my greatest help. In such a battlefield, it is absolutely impossible for me to fight against you. Impossible to beat me. After finishing speaking, the blood on the ground condensed again, turning into thumb-sized blood smears suspended around Dingman's body. After listening to Dingman's home, Cross lowered his head, raised his hand to touch the naked part of his chest, and said to himself, Paramesha blood fruit, the ability to control blood. It's really tricky. However, who is more suitable for a place like the battlefield? My ability is not inferior to your ability. As soon as the words fell, Cross squatted down suddenly, stretched out his hands to press the ground, and shouted sharply, Activation Inorganic Reincarnation. Rumble. Monster. In an instant, the surrounding ground shook violently, and the ground surged under the control of an invisible force. Countless mudstones and grasses were twisted together, forming several thick mudstone tentacles, as if a giant octopus in the deep sea had come to land, waving its teeth and claws, waving its huge tentacles and lashing towards Dingman. Nani. Dingman stared wide-eyed, looking at the scene in front of him in astonishment. Advertisement Chapter 23 Cross vs. Dingman. Advertisement. Damn it. Dingman didn't have time to do anything extra, just raised his hand, and controlled hundreds of thousands of thumb-sized blood droplets floating around him to spurt out quickly, and changed from a circle to a cone during the extremely fast flight. Blood rain arrow. Shish. Amidst the dense sound of piercing the air, countless blood cones hit the bodies of more than a dozen mudstone tentacles like a rain of flowers, creating dense holes in an instant. It's just that these blood cones are too small, and the enemy is not bad at ordinary opponents, but they are really powerless against these tentacles made of mud and stones, and they can't cause much damage. It can't stop the falling of these mudstone tentacles at all. Boom, 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 boom. 7 or 8 10-meter long mudstone tentacles writhed angrily and hit the ground heavily, making continuous loud noises, smashing out pits one after another in the originally beautiful green grass, frightening the surrounding people. The sailors and pirates fled in a hurry, away from this land of right and wrong. At this time, Dingman quickly shuttled among the tentacles of mud and rocks dancing in the sky, feeling like dancing on a wire rope. From time to time, he waved the long scythe reverse wheel in his hand to cut off the mud and rocks in front of him vigorously. Stone tentacles. Damn it, I can't escape the pursuit of these ghosts. Dingman cursed in a low voice, took time to look at Cross not far away, and said 520 to himself. This kid is really not simple, and he will definitely be observation hockey. Ha ha ha, it's not easy, is it you? Observation hockey is very skilled. Cross couldn't help laughing out loud when he heard Dingman's words, and said teasingly. Dingman's face darkened, and he noticed that the surrounding mudstone tentacles were attacking more violently and accurately, which made him feel a little exhausted for a while. Call. Blood moon. Suddenly, after Dingman took a deep breath, he suddenly raised the long scythe in his hand and swung it out. A blood-colored crescent moon suddenly appeared, and it fanned out horizontally, cutting off all the mud and stone tentacles in a destructive manner. Rumbling. The upper half of all the mud and stone tentacles fell heavily on the ground, making a loud rumbling noise. Advertisement. As expected of a guy who can help Charlotte's pirates, he has some skills. Cross snorted softly, and quietly clenched open black lens bracket Jingsho close black lens bracket in his hand. Call. At this time, Dingeman breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at the mudstone tentacles that were still twitching and writhing on the ground with an ugly expression, and could not help cursing in a low voice. What the hell are these things? Are they alive? Quote. Laugh. While speaking, he suddenly turned around, and slashed out with a long sickle in his hand, cutting a gargoyle that was attacking him into two like butter. Don't be distracted, there's still me. Suddenly, Cross screamed and rushed out like a cannonball. His high-speed moving body was surrounded by the howling wind, and he approached Dingeman in a blink of an eye. Smelly brat, you are courting death. Dingeman gritted his teeth and said angrily. Without hesitation he raised the long scythe, Nilin, in his hand, and slashed towards Cross brazenly, as if waving a bloody crescent moon. Blood cut. Clang. In an instant, the sickle and the taidao collided, splashing conspicuous sparks, and a violent white air wave erupted in a ring, like a gust of wind sweeping a blanket, setting off thick earth-colored smoke and dust. The ground was also sunken out of thin air under the terrifying power of the two, forming a large pit with a diameter of several meters, which was full of dense cracks. Armament hockey. Dingeman looked at Cross in disbelief, his facial muscles twitching uncontrollably. Cross also looked at Dingeman with a surprised expression, and said, unexpectedly, you have been in the paradise all year round, and you can also master two kinds of hockey proficiently. I thought you only know how to read it. It turned out that in this collision, both of them used armament hockey at the same time, and both wanted to cut off each other's weapons, but they didn't expect that the other would also know armament hockey. I'm the one who should be surprised. Dingeman gritted his teeth, and said in a low tone, at your age, you have mastered two kinds of hockey, the armed color and the knowledge color, and the same is true for North Blue's Doflamingo. Are all the little ghosts Bia so powerful? It turns out that you have seen that pink bird. If you are lucky enough to leave alive, remember to tell him the next time you see him, saying that I, Amphitrite Cross, still miss his head. Cross grinned, said in a grim tone. In the next second, Cross and Dingeman took a step back at the same time, and then rushed towards each other again, quickly swinging their weapons and colliding with each other. The sound of dang 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 dang, metal and iron mingled continuously in the ears, and the surging energy spread outwards in bursts. On the shore, Jabra leisurely walked down from the warship, rubbed his chin, watched the fierce battle between Cross and Dingelman, then turned his head and asked, aren't we going to help? Fuzzy Fu touched the red and swollen face, and snorted unhappily. It's their marine's responsibility to deal with pirates, don't worry about that B**********************. D. Advertisement. Okay, then let's bypass the battlefield and go to the warehouse to have a look. Jabra said indifferently. According to CP7's monitoring, the goods are still on the Curry side of the warehouse and have not been transported away. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Foz Fu looked gloomy and walked directly to the side. Hey, you B***************** D stop ordering me. Jabra yelled very dissatisfied, but followed closely. The two quickly bypassed the battle between Marine and the Blood Pirates, and headed for the depths of the woods. The islands of Sabayati Archipelago are all small islands, and the scope is actually not very big, so the two quickly walked out of the woods and came to the edge of the town. Machete, report the location of the cargo, it's over. Scimitar, report, will launch a signal flare to guide, Sheng. Understood, over. Scimitar, report again, the warehouse is guarded by Blood Pirates and dozens of pirates, it's over. The cadre of the Blood Pirates. Who is it? Over. The other party is cutthroat freak Denelli, who is offering a bounty of 115 million Baileys, please be careful, it's over. We understand, finish, click. Foz Fao hung up the phone and put the phone bug back in his arms. To be honest, it's the first time I've met an opponent with a bounty of hundreds of millions. It's really exciting, Jabra said with a smile. Solve that weird guy, I see how that B*********** D Lucci is still arrogant in front of me. Foz Fu said excitedly. Call out. Suddenly, a red flare flew into the sky, and after exploding in the sky, the fireworks formed the pattern of the world government flag, hanging high in the sky. It doesn't look very far, let's go. Jabra glanced at the position of the signal flare, greeted Foz Fao, and ran over first. Damn, don't order me. Foz Fu's face darkened, and he hurriedly followed. Advertisement Chapter 24, Cutthroat Monster, Denelli. Advertisement. Huh, who put a flare on top of us? Wait, that pattern is world government. Damn, we've been found. Mr. Dingelman will deal with Marine, and we will deal with the lackeys of the world government. The red flare exploded above the head of the big warehouse, attracting the attention of a group of pirates below, making all the pirates in charge of staying behind restless. Immediately, 50 pirates picked up all kinds of weapons, machetes, harpoons, muskets, bazookas. Both cold weapons and hot weapons. Denelli came out of the big warehouse, looked up at the signal flare above his head, his expression became excited, and he said with a smile, hey, you guys from the world government, I'm getting rusty. Rustling. However, before he finished speaking, he noticed that in front of the main entrance of the big warehouse, the trees in the woods were rustling, and suddenly many men in black suits emerged from the trees or behind the big trees, all with blank faces. The expressions and eyes are indifferent, looking at the pirates of the blood pirates as if they were looking at the dead. Pirate Denelli, hand over the world government goods. One of the agents took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "You have committed 17 crimes including murder, robbery, destroying world government and marine ships, and destroying world government and marine missions. If you honestly put down your weapons and surrender, if you can enter Impel Down to spend the rest of your life, but if you refuse, you will be shot to death." "Hey, it's like a ghost, almost scared me to pee." Giggling, Denelli laughed. The burn scar on half of his face also looked distorted and hideous, and said in a tone full of sarcasm, "Stop talking nonsense. If you want something, take it with your strength." "That's right, let's talk after defeating us. Come here if you have the ability." "Chop suey, my big knife is already hungry and thirsty." Asterisk. All the pirates were arrogant and yelled at the agents in front of them. For the desperados of the blood pirates, they don't care whether the opponent is a sailor or an agent, they only care about the strength of their strength. "What a lifeless guy." Suddenly, Fuzzy Fu came out with a cold expression, and said maliciously, "Being burned by the flames into such a ghostly appearance, there is still a face swaying around. That nobleman was also an idiot back then, and he didn't leave a single person behind. Destroy all the scourges of his family." "Hey, isn't that too much?" Jabra looked at Foz Fu in surprise, and said incomprehensibly. Advertisement. Cutthroat stranger. As a big pirate with a bounty of 115 million Baileys, Denelli's background has naturally been investigated by the Marine and world government. The other party was an ordinary person from South Bloomisa's kingdom, who worked as a guard in a small chamber of commerce, but one day, a nobleman in the kingdom drank too much at a banquet and deliberately set fire to a civilian area on his way home, causing the whole family of Denelli was burnt to death. Only Denelli survived, but he was burned by the flames in a large area, so he was covered with bandages. Later, in order to revenge, Denelli killed the whole family of the nobleman, so he was wanted and fled to the sea, becoming a pirate. Therefore, Jabra would naturally think that Foz Fu was a little too much. After all, the other party was just an ordinary person before, and he had to become like this as a last resort. "Don't bother me, Lousy is very upset today." Foz Fowler gave Jabra a hard look, and his tone was extremely fierce. At this moment, Denelli's face was ashen, his eyes became cloudy, half of his face with the burn scar became more distorted and terrifying, and the tragic scene of that night was once again recalled in his mind. Ruthless fire, screaming family members, desperate life. This is a hellish world. You wanna die. Denelli's voice was low and hoarse, and the cold murderous aura surged out of his body like a tide, spreading in all directions, almost reducing the surrounding temperature by a few points. "It's over. Master Denelli is angry." The few pirates on the side were terrified, and they couldn't help but backed away. Imp. Suddenly, Denelli didn't intend to talk nonsense at all, and directly rushed out. The long-handled sharp knife in his hand was like a lion majesty, and went straight to Foz Ferrer's face. Just in time. And almost at the same time, Foz Fowl let out a deep roar, his body suddenly swelled up, and quickly grew long hairs all over his body, turning into a huge and mighty saber-toothed tiger on the spot, bending over the ground. The tooth gun. Foz Fu opened his big mouth full of sharp teeth, and sent forward a tooth-shaped white air bomb. Cruel. Denelli let out a low growl, and the strength in his hand increased by 3 points, and the speed of the long-handled sharp knife stabbing out was much faster, as if piercing even the air, making a sound of shoo, piercing through the air. Bang. Advertisement. On the spot, a huge explosion occurred, and a violent air wave was stirred up and spread outward, blowing the corners of many people's clothes and rattling. Asking for flowers. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. At this moment, Jabra, who didn't know when he turned into a werewolf, soared into the sky, and quickly came to the top of Denelli's head. He bent his fingers slightly, clasped his palms together, and aimed at Denelli below. Bang. With murderous intent in his eyes, Denelli laughed wildly and said, "It's really interesting to be underestimated. Ghost step. It's really in line with your character to start a fight if you disagree, Foz Fur." Jabra grinned and said with a sneer, "However, the pirates with a bounty of more than 100 million are only at this level, which really disappoints me." Quote. At this moment, Denelli calmed down a bit, looked thoughtfully at the two half-human, half-beast agents in front of him, and secretly guessed the identities of Foz Fow and Jabra. The two zone ability users, there are different ordinary 6 styles, that CP9 member who doesn't appear on the bright side. The Blood Pirates are a group of pirates who repeatedly jump around in Paradise and New World. They have engaged in a lot of employment tasks in the Dark World, and they inevitably have to deal with Marine and World Government, so they also learned a lot from various aspects. The details of the World Government. Finger Pistol Moonlight 10-finger pistol. The ground was shattered, forming a broken pit, and the surging energy set off a burst of earth-colored smoke and dust. Then I, the evil spirit who crawled out of the flames of hell, will teach you innocent little devils a good lesson. In an instant, Jabra kicked his feet on the air, and a ring-shaped air circle spread, and the force of the shock made him rush down like a sharp arrow, falling from the air at a high speed, and aimed 10 sharp nails at Nelly stabbed at the top of the head. Foz stood up slowly, and turned into an extremely strong human beast form, with a pair of protruding canine teeth like small daggers, showing that he is a powerful saber-toothed tiger-shaped ancient species of zone. It's just that before, all they encountered were ordinary agents from CP1 to CP8, and they had never encountered such a shady senior agent as CP9. Pirates are nothing more than hyenas roaming the sea together. Do you think they are powerful? Jabra came out of the broken pit, looking coldly at Denelli a few meters away. As soon as the voice fell, Denelli disappeared out of thin air like a ghost. Call, dodge man, cluck cluck, cluck cluck. 0, 0. Advertisement Chapter 25 Ghost Steps Can't Be Seen. Advertisement. Disappeared. Jabra was stunned for a moment, then reacted suddenly. No, it's a high-speed movement similar to shaving. So fast. Where is the person? What happened? Lump's throat was slit. Damn it, it must be that B*** D Denelli, who's in the, Suddenly, the surrounding agents were attacked, and the throats of several people were cut open by invisible sharp knives, and blood sprayed all over the place. For a while, facing an invisible enemy, even a CP agent who had undergone rigorous training could not help feeling panicked. Haha, it's Master Denelli's ghost step. You can't see it when you open the ghost step, it's a position. Go. Whole agent, you are finished. On the other side, the pirates at the warehouse gate shouted excitedly, waving their weapons again and again. At this time, 963, Fozfu turned his head back and forth with an ugly face, concentrating on looking for the opponent's trace. Even with his eyesight and reaction, he could barely catch up with the opponent's moving speed. Iron body. Suddenly his complexion changed, and he let out a low cry, and saw his muscles tense, and a gleam of light that was invisible to the naked eye was fleeting on him. Clang. In the next second, the sound of metal impact sounded. A few sparks splashed out from Fuzfu's neck. It was obvious that he was attacked by an iron object, and he couldn't help but tilt his head back, almost falling to the ground. Long-toothed cat, are you all right? Seeing this scene, Jabra couldn't help asking in surprise. Alas, it actually blocked it. At the same time, Denelli appeared in front of Fozfu, and said in a surprised tone. Finger pistol Madara. Seeing the other party appearing in front of him, Fozfu quickly lifted the immobile, iron body, state, shouted loudly, and cast finger pistol with both hands at the same time, covering Denelli's whole body with continuous high-speed attacks. Ghost step. Denelli looked at Fozfu sarcastically, and then disappeared again with a sway of his body, allowing Foz's attacks to fall into the void. Damn it. Advertisement. Fozfu showed anger, and then saw a figure invisible to the naked eye actually heading towards Jabra. He was so startled that he quickly shouted, Jabra, quickly use iron body. Iron body. Hearing this, Jabra was startled. Without even thinking about it, he tensed his whole body muscles, and instantly entered the state of iron body. Before long, Denelli came in front of Jabra, and the long-handled sharp knife in his hand, with the help of high-speed movement, slashed out horizontally and directly slashed on Jabra's neck. Clang. Accompanied by the sound of gold and iron clanging, a few sparks burst out from Jabra's neck, and a powerful force made him fall back and almost fell to the ground. What a hard turtle shell. Denelli stopped and stood in front of Jabra rather unhappily. B*****************************************************************************************10 finger pistol. Jabra was so annoyed that he clasped his hands together in a hollow manner, bent his fingers slightly, and then punched out at the super high speed of finger pistol. Ghost step. Denelli swayed again, avoiding Jabra's attack as if disappearing out of thin air. When the shot missed, Jabra's face was ugly, and he couldn't help cursing. Damn guy, you have the ability. However, before he finished cursing, his beast-like intuition made him aware of a strong crisis, and he subconsciously entered the state of iron body. Clang. It turned out that Denelli walked around Jabra's back like a ghost at a super high moving speed, and slashed at his neck again, but still made a sound like metal and iron, and failed to kill the opponent smoothly. Jabra released the iron body, stayed with sweat on his forehead, reached out and touched his neck, and cursed in surprise and anger. Maid, if I can move freely in the iron body state, I will definitely kill you B*******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************2 to finish this mission. Fuzzy Fu daily yelled at Jabra, opened it and sent out a tooth-shaped air bomb in one direction. The tooth gun. Bang. A big tree tens of meters away was interrupted in the middle, and the upper half of the trunk with dense branches and leaves fell down and hit the ground heavily, stirring up a thick cloud of smoke and dust. Lord Foz Fu, we are still here. Several agents were almost affected, and they couldn't help but roared at Foz Fu Fang. Stop rambling. Fuzzy Fu glanced at the agents, and shouted angrily, go and attack the pirates, fight with them. As soon as this remark came out, dozens of CP agents present understood what Foz Fu meant. Shave. Advertisement. Finger pistol. Tempest kick. In an instant, more than 20 agents were dispatched together to attack the pirates in the warehouse ahead, almost showing their magical powers. In the CP organization, unless they are ordinary agents on the periphery, the agents who can participate in this level of missions are more or less their own skills, or they know one or two of the 6 styles. Bang, 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 bang. Clang, 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 clang. Soon, more than 20 CP agents fought fiercely with 50 blood pirates. During the fierce fighting, the sounds of guns and swords colliding could be heard endlessly, as well as various screams. He, do you think this can restrict me? Don't forget, I'm a despicable pirate. Ha, I got you. The tooth gun. Denelli looked stunned, and could hardly believe what happened in front of him. Jabra let out a sinister grin, jumped up with a stride, and entered the state of iron body, in midair, gathering all the strength of his whole body to punch a ferocious straight punch. Fuzzy Fu rushed forward suddenly, and shouted, Although that guy's moving speed is fast, he is not invisible, and that guy is moving at a high speed, and his attack strength is limited, so he can't break through the two of us at all. Open black lens bracket iron body close black lens bracket, just pay attention to defense. 0.2 inches. Denelli's figure appeared under a big tree, looking at Foz and Jabra with indifferent eyes, and sneered full of sarcasm. Ghost step. Immediately, Denelli flickered and disappeared on the spot like a ghost, and then a tooth-shaped air bomb and a leaping forward tempest kick struck, smashing the big tree into pieces on the spot. During the explosion, surging air waves swept outward like a gust of wind, setting off thick smoke and dust. Iron body hyphenation point heavy step wolf. You don't need to remind me, I know it too. Jabra curled his lips and replied unhappily, but still followed Fuzifu with his eyes wide open. You are the most verbose, then I will kill you first. However, at the next moment, Fozfu suddenly turned his head and opened his mouth full of fangs. With a sound of scandium, he bit the tip of the long-handled sharp knife in Denelli's hand, preventing the opponent's attack from advancing an inch. Follow me, Nani. Tempest kick lone wolf. Denelli suddenly appeared beside Foz, with an extremely cold expression, and the long-handled sharp knife in his hand pierced Foz's neck like a lion majesty. Bang. Advertisement Chapter 26 Whole Fruit and Sword Throwing. Advertisement. A group of vicious pirates have come to the Sabayati archipelago and are hiding on Island 7. Now Marine seals off Island number 7, and no one is allowed to enter or leave until the gang of pirates are wiped out. Now, those who forcibly break through the barrier are deemed to have declared war on the Marine and the world government, and they will be killed instantly. Gobert stood in the middle of the bridge connecting Island 7 and Island 8 with a calm expression, his left hand resting on the samurai sword at his waist, and loudly issued a warning to the many outlaws gathered opposite him. Behind Gobert, hundreds of Marine soldiers were neatly arranged in 5 teams, blocking the bridge tightly. There are even 300 sailors forming a defensive line at the bridgehead of number 8 Island, with various muskets, bazookas, mortars and other weapons lined up, all aimed in the direction of the bridge. Because there are 3 numbered islands connecting Island No. 7, Gobert divided his forces into 3, of which 400 were personally commanded by him to block the bridge between Island number 7 and No. 8. At the bridgehead of Island number 7, hundreds of outlaws gathered together, staring at Marine on the bridge with different expressions, or whispering to each other, or holding weapons to keep vigilant. This group of lawbreakers did not believe what Marine said, but 14 did not take the initiative to attack. After all, Gobert's words still have a lot of deterrence. What's more, Island number 7 is surrounded by the sea, and it is very close to other islands. If you are forced to jump into the sea directly, you can reach other numbered islands by swimming for a while, so Marine only blocks the bridge, which is not very threatening. Similarly, Gobert also understands this, which is why he just shouted. After all, Marine's primary goal is the batch of lost goods, and annihilating the blood pirates is just a secondary task. There is no need to make unnecessary conflict. Bang! Suddenly, a loud noise like thunder was deafening to countless people, and a group of blazing giant great fireball rose from the bridgehead of No. 8 Island, mixed with thick black smoke. At this moment, the shock wave from the huge explosion swept in all directions like a gust of wind, disrupting Marine's formation and blowing many sailors away. Ah, why did it explode? Are we being bombarded at the level of fortress guns? Medical soldiers. Save people. A charred black pit with a diameter of nearly 10 meters appeared on the open space at the bridgehead, surrounded by our wounded sailors, and in the center, some seabeds were blown to nothing. The sudden huge explosion caused the surviving sailors to panic, and even the nearby onlookers were dumbfounded, unable to believe what they saw. Gobert, who was in the middle of the bridge, quickly turned around to look around, but when he saw the heavy casualties of his subordinates, he couldn't help shouting in disbelief, "What's going on?" Advertisement. Kill. Get rid of these sailors. Rush up and destroy them. In the next second, fierce shouts of killing suddenly sounded. Many people around saw dozens of people running out of the town on Island number 8, all with killing intent on their faces, waving machetes and muskets in their hands, and frantically rushed towards the Marine troops at the bridge. For a moment, before the Marine troops at the bridgehead recovered from the explosion just now, they were caught off guard by this group of people, and the formation that was already on the verge of collapse collapsed completely. What's more, the placement of Marine's heavy weapons is also very problematic. They are all aimed at the direction of the bridge, and they did not expect the enemy to appear from behind. Some brave sailors wanted to resist, but they were weak, and they were quickly submerged under the chaos of this group of enemies. Gobert's face was dull, and he watched Chowdu's subordinates being defeated by a group of inexplicable enemies, which made him stunned on the spot. Rear Admiral, what should I do? Adjutant Jess held Gobert's arm and asked in a terrified tone. Gobert woke up suddenly, and found that there were 100 subordinates in front of him. Although they were also panicked, they still barely maintained their composure and formation. Kanglang. Afterwards, Gobert showed anger, and directly pulled out the samurai sword at his waist, and said loudly, "Don't panic, there are very few of them, they just rely on sneak attacks. Now listen to my order, rush up and kill these damned bastards." Moonwalk. As soon as the words fell, Gobert jumped into the air, jumped over the 100 subordinates in front of him, and took the lead in charging towards the enemy at the number 8 electric bridge. Kill. Immediately, the 100 sailors on the bridge saw that their immediate superiors were still calm, and they were even the first to charge. The morale that had fallen quickly picked up, and they charged. At this time, Gobert found a familiar figure among the group of people. I saw that the other party was an obese man with a long skull, a protruding chin, a thin and long face like a crescent moon, a black ponytail behind his head, wearing a blue short-sleeved shirt with a star pattern on it, and a dark red shorts and brown sandals, with 2 revolvers in his hands. Advertisement. Gopher knock, UB asterisk 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 D. Gritting his teeth angrily, Gobert growled like a beast. Now he understood that the group of people in front of him were clearly the pirates of the Blood Pirates, and they probably attacked them in order to meet them or join up with their companions on Island 7. Ha ha ha. Hi Bing, the fireworks just now were beautiful. Hearing someone calling his name, Gopher knock turned his head to look at Gobert, and sneered happily. For the meeting ceremony just now, I used my ability to build a tunnel hundreds of meters long underground, so that I can see it. I will bury the gunpowder under your feet, but it is a pity that time is too tight and there is not much gunpowder to buy, otherwise the fireworks will be even more spectacular. Gobert's eyes were red, and he let out a roar almost like a lunatic, and rushed towards Nock like a madman, swung the samurai sword in his hand as if exhausting all his strength, and slashed at Nock viciously. However, in the next second, the ground that Gobert stepped on suddenly sank, turning into a bottomless deep pothole, which made Gobert, who was caught off guard, fall down on the spot. Immediately, there was a muffled sound of heavy objects falling from the underground of the deep pit, as well as an unconcealable cry of pain. Hey hey, Noak walked to the edge of the pothole with a proud expression, and sneered at the inside, have you forgotten my nickname? I'm Gopher. Paramesha, whole fruit, ability user, very good at hitting hole. Ha 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 ha. Whoosh. Suddenly, the sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded. A samurai sword flew out of the deep pothole at a high speed, like an arrow off the string, and the laughing Noak was caught off guard. Not only did he almost die, but because he couldn't dodge in time, he was pierced through the shoulder by the samurai sword on the spot. Ah! Noak screamed and covered his shoulders, red blood flowed down between his fingers, and stained his clothes red. At this time, Gobert jumped out of the deep pothole, staggered when he landed, and directly half-kneeled on the ground. Cough cough cough. Gobert coughed up a mouthful of blood with a pale face, then looked at Nock in front of him with a mocking expression, and said mockingly, a mouse is a mouse and you forget to put something sharp in the pit as your failure. How about it? Cough cough. My sword-throwing technique tastes good. It's a pity that I didn't use a straight sword. I missed it a little bit and failed to pierce your heart. It doesn't matter. Advertisement Chapter 27 Armament Hockey. Advertisement. On the coast of Island 7, the battle between Marine and pirates continues. However, the more than 200 pirates of the Blood Pirates had to deal with the aerial harassment of more than 100 activated creatures, and at the same time, they also had to face the increasing number of Marine troops. They soon fell into a disadvantage and were beaten festival defeat. Similarly, the fierce battle turned the originally beautiful green coast into a battlefield of bloodline Madara Madara. All kinds of broken swords and broken firearms were randomly discarded on the ground turned up by the mud. Dirty and broken corpses can be seen everywhere, stumped limbs and broken arms are everywhere, and there are many wounded who wailed constantly. Clang, 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 clang. And in the middle of the battlefield, the battle between Cross and Dingeman became more and more intense. Not only did they resort to frequent tactics, but they even pointed their moves at each other's vital points. The sound caused bursts of air turbulence. Suddenly, a piercing bang of scandium erupted in the air, and the turbulent air waves visible to the naked eye were like a gust of wind, rumbling and spreading in all directions. Dingeman's face changed slightly, and he was shocked by Cross's huge force. He retreated more than 10 meters before barely stopping. His hands were trembling even more, and he almost couldn't hold the long sickle in his hand. Ha! Cross laughed lightly, and sarcastically said, I thought your hockey was so good. It turns out that it is just not at the top level. You should admit your failure early, so as to save money from trouble. Fart, I'm not defeated. Dingeman's face turned red, and he looked at his subordinates who suffered heavy casualties and retreated steadily, and roared angrily as if losing his mind. As long as I am still alive, the Blood Pirates will not perish. Ridiculous, do you think you can beat me? An impatient expression appeared on Cross's face, and the murderous intent in his eyes became more and more intense. Stop talking nonsense. As long as I kill you, and then kill everyone here, the final victory will still belong to me. Dingeman roared with a ferocious expression, almost crazily. Kill me. Why do you? Cross pointed at the long scythe in the opponent's hand with disdain, and sneered, just rely on your armament hockey, which is barely getting started. Look at your weapon, how many more knives can you take? Dingeman's momentum froze, and he subconsciously looked down at the long scythe Nilan in his hand. I saw that this 3-meter-long long-handled sickle was covered with large and small gaps from the blade to the handle. Originally, when Cross said that Dingleman's hockey was not good, he meant that his armament hockey was not good. Advertisement. Because Dingman is not good at armament hockey, the strength of armament hockey is far inferior to that of Cross. If it weren't for the long scythe inverse wheel, which is a high-quality weapon that is not inferior to the famous sword, it would have been chopped off by Cross a few times. It is impossible to persist until now. Shut up. Blood draining. Dingeman's face was ashen, and he stretched out his hand to grab the corpse of a Marine soldier on the ground, and then activated the ability of the blood fruit, almost instantly sucking out all the blood from the corpse, turning it into a piece of blood on the palm of his hand. A large group of blood cells, and the corpse of the sailor turned into a mummy. This B asterisk 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 D. Seeing this scene, Cross's face darkened, and he couldn't help cursing in a low voice. Blood spear. In the next second, Dingeman shouted sharply, and the blood ball above his palm stretched rapidly, turning into a blood-colored spear, which he held in his hand, and then threw it forcefully. Call out. The blood spear flew out through the air, heading straight for Cross like a bloody lightning bolt. Go away. Cross yelled violently, and rushed forward, the Jingsho in his hand turned into a cold light, and with a soft, kai, sound, he split the roaring blood spear in half with the ease of a heat wave. Knife cut the butter so. Smelly brat. Facing the ferocious attacking Cross, Dingeman was frightened and angry, holding the long scythe inverse wheel tightly with both hands, and rushed forward without fear. Blood cut. In an instant, the long scythe Nilan swung out, turned into a blood-colored fan, and slashed across the middle of Cross. But Cross didn't counteract Dingeman's moves, and jumped into the air, letting the blood-colored fan pass under his feet. Almost at the same time, Cross waved the Jingsho in his hand, and slashed a sharp blue-white slash at Dingeman's hand below. One blade flying mang. A sharp slash flew out, as if cutting the air. As soon as Dingeman missed the shot, he raised his head and glanced, only to feel the sharp invisible sharp edge hurt his skin, and he was so frightened that he hurriedly rolled over, dodged aside in embarrassment. Boom. Immediately, the ground where Dingeman was originally standing was split by the sharp sword wave like justice from heaven, forming a deep crack with a length of more than 10 meters on the spot. Advertisement. It's really embarrassing. Cross fell to the ground, and mocked Dingeman, who just got up from the ground with a contemptuous tone. Blood yin. Dingeman's face turned black, and the anger in his heart was almost turned into substance. Of course, he raised his hand to attract the blood around him, and quickly turned into bloody apples suspended in the air. Blood fruit. Immediately, more than 10 blood apples floated towards Cross. Oh, this is. Cross stared wide-eyed, staring blankly at the bloody apples floating towards him. Not to mention, the young man is very skilled, this blood apple really looks like an apple. Boom 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 boom. In the next second, the blood apples exploded one by one, turning into a rain of blood that covered Cross, figure, and the strong explosion destroyed the ground and devastated it, setting off violent waves like a gust of wind. B************** D brat, you have suffered a lot. Dingeman's expression was relaxed, and he said proudly as if he had let out a bad breath. A moment later, the rain of blood dyed the ground within a radius of hundreds of meters red, and due to the violent explosion, the thick smoke and dust gradually dissipated, and a dark figure appeared in front of Dingeman's eyes. Wang Zhao, this is. However, for a moment, Dingeman's eyes widened, and he looked at the opposite Cross with an expression, almost unable to believe the scene he saw. This move is good, it opened my eyes. Cross lowered his head and said in a low and hoarse voice slowly, however, have you figured out how to face my anger next? It turned out that Cross at this time was like a shiny black metal sculpture, with a metallic luster all over his body, and the extremely rich armament hockey wrapped his body tightly like a black armor, full of oppression. The terrifying momentum caused the air to distort and fly. Gulu. At this moment, Dingeman was sweating profusely, swallowing his saliva involuntarily, and actually had the horrifying illusion that the other party was not a human, but a huge beast. Armament hockey of this strength, and such a terrifying aura. As this kid, a monster. Advertisement chapter 28 Your move, others have already used it. Advertisement. At the same time, the sound of fighting on the battlefield gradually subsided. Facing Marine's powerful force, the Blood Pirates more than 200 pirates were wiped out, most of them died in battle, and a few surrendered. After all, the Blood Pirates are not a powerful pirate group, and ordinary members are not much more powerful than the elite sailors in Marine. There are only 200 pirates, and just over 100 activated creatures made of stone and metal are enough to beat the Blood Pirate group without the help of powerful cadres, let alone the siege of thousands of Marine soldiers, so the battle didn't last long. At this moment, only Cross and Dingeman were left standing opposite each other on the entire battlefield. One of them was as black as a sculpture, holding a sword. One person was covered in blood and held a long scythe. They all stared at each other murderously. Boom. Suddenly, Cross, like a demon god, stepped forward with a single step, and the huge force directly smashed the ground under his feet, and cracks spread rapidly in all directions. In an instant, Cross rushed out like a cannonball. The speed was so fast that the air exploded with a thunderous roar, and set off a biting and fierce wind. Damn. Suppressed. Dingeman's expression changed, and he found that his body was engulfed by the raging and violent storm, and it was difficult to make big movements of moving and dodging. There was also a terrifying power that frightened him, as if telling him, don't move, eat me. One sword style Tiangong. In the next second, Cross 653 rushed in front of Dingeman fiercely, grasped the handle of the knife tightly with both hands, raised open black lens bracket Jingsho close black lens bracket high above his head, and then slashed down brazenly. At this moment, the blade fell down, compressing the air with great force, so that the entire shiny black blade was covered with a layer of white mist visible to the naked eye. Block, block, must block. Dingeman's face was distorted and crazy, and he let out a hysterical roar in his heart. He held the long scythe reverse wheel tightly in front of him, trying to resist Cross's berserk slash. Clang. There was a sound of gold and iron clanging, and a few sparks splashed in the air. The Jingsho that contained terrifying power fell down without any fanfare, and cut off the long sickle Nilan that was not inferior to the famous sword on the spot. Dingeman's eyes were terrified, and he watched Jingsho, whose strength didn't seem to have weakened much, continue to slash down and land on him. Advertisement. Poof. Bead. Amidst the light sound of entering the flesh, blood splashed, and Riju's arm flew into the air. Ah! Afterwards, Dingeman's expression was ferocious and painful, and he screamed and fell to the side, his right shoulder gushing out a large stream of blood like a fountain. A right arm that was severed at the root was exchanged for his life. Rumble. However, the power of this knife has not been exhausted. After cutting off Dingeman's arm, a terrifying knife wind visible to the naked eye erupted, tearing the earth apart. In just the blink of an eye, the terrifying knife wind cut a gully-like crack hundreds of meters long on the ground, extending to the depths of the forest, tearing countless towering trees along the way, as if the entire forest divide one into two, and set off a diffuse earth-colored smoke, which lingers for a long time. Strange. Monster. Seeing this scene, the surrounding sailors were stunned, their jaws almost dropped to the ground. Really? At this moment, Cross stared at Dingeman with a broken arm and fell to the ground with a blank expression on his face, and said in a low tone, "Honestly, it would be nice to be hacked to death by me, so as to save a little suffering. Is it possible that you still think about it? An arm to come back? It's useless, Dingeman, you've already lost." At this time, the surrounding sailors gathered around and pointed all the weapons in their hands at the seriously injured Dingeman, as if as long as Cross gave an order, the other party would be besieged by hundreds or even thousands of people. Dingeman was lying on the ground with a pale face, his left hand was tightly covering the wound on his right arm, but there was still a large stream of dark red blood gushing out, staining the ground red, and the long side that was broken in two, reverse wheel right by his side. Suddenly, he grinned and let out a crazy laugh. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. What are you laughing at? Cross narrowed his eyes and said coldly, or, do you want to surrender? Dingeman stopped laughing, stared at Cross with resentment in his eyes, gritted his teeth and said, surrender. No no no, I just want to die with you. Advertisement. Self-declared blood devourer. Suddenly, Dingeman roared wildly, his body exploded with a poof, and a large stream of blood gushed out like a sharp arrow, turning into a hideous snake-shaped blood column, biting towards Cross like lightning. Just what? As soon as Dingeman died, dozens of captured pirates lowered their heads in despair, as if they had lost their vitality, completely desperate. Suddenly, a sailor ran over and reported to Cross the situation on Gobert's rear admiral's side, and suddenly became hesitant. After speaking, he took out a white cloth from his pocket and carefully wiped Jingsho in his hand. Cross was taken aback, and quickly asked, it's just 60 or so pirates and 8 gopher knock. Gobert rear admiral has an absolute superiority in strength. Why are there such heavy casualties? Call. Cross's expression remained unchanged, and the Jingsho in his hand instantly chopped out. The sailor who reported the message was taken aback, and hurriedly said, it's just that Gobert rear admiral was also seriously injured, and about 200 people were killed or injured in battle. With powerful strength and superb skills, the incomparably sharp famous knife, Jingsho, split the ferocious snake-shaped blood column without hindrance like a hot knife cutting butter. Immediately, the snake-shaped column of blood that gathered all the blood in Dingeman's body collapsed, and it turned into a puddle of blood and splashed on the ground, dyeing the ground in front of Cross into a large red carpet. Nani, the strongest captain of the blood pirates is dead. Even if someone escapes the marine siege and escapes by luck, it is impossible to rescue them. Ridiculous. It is said that there was a sudden attack. The specific situation was not detailed, but when Gobert rear admiral was sent to the hospital, he ordered you to temporarily take over the defense of the Sabayati archipelago and command all the forces of the marine garrison base until naval headquarters has different orders. Replied the sailor. In the fierce battle just now, Jingsho, as a high-quality famous sword, has armament hockey's body protection, no matter the blade or the edge, there are no scratches or gaps at all, and it is still intact as new, but it is stained with a lot of stains. Bloodline needs to be wiped before it can be put into the scabbard. Cross let out a long sigh of relief, and all the shiny black armament hockey on his body faded away, returning to his original yellow skin, and then he said to the big pool of blood on the ground, your trick, others have already used it, when I have you watched so many anime for nothing? Lord Cross, there is news from Gobert rear admiral that 67 pirates were captured and killed, including Gopher Knock, who has a bounty of 77 million Baileys. Cross frowned and asked dissatisfied. Advertisement Chapter 29 Original Design Drawings. Advertisement. Island 66 Marine Station Base. Dozens of large iron boxes were piled up in the open space in front of the office building, surrounded by more than a dozen special agents in black suits for protection, and Shanghai was not allowed to get close at all. And in the middle, several agents held a thin manual, opened the large iron boxes one by one, and checked them one by one, as if they were checking whether they were lost. At this time, Cross came out of the office building, glanced at the dozens of large iron boxes piled up on the open space, and walked straight over. See, soldier, this is a secret of the world government. An agent stopped Cross blankly and looked him up and down. What? Cross grinned with interest, raised his hand and tapped the opponent's chest, and said, Agent, don't forget that you are still in Marine's base. What's more, your things were brought back with the cooperation of our Marine. After finishing speaking, Cross directly pushed aside the agent, and walked forward carelessly. See, soldier, you are inquiring about the secrets of the world government. The agent was very annoyed, and hurried forward to continue to stop Cross, and even the surrounding agents also stepped forward to stop Cross, the bad guest. Stop it, let him come over. Suddenly, a voice that made Cross feel a little familiar sounded, stopping the movements of the surrounding agents and calming down the conflict that would happen next. Who did I think it was? It turned out to be Director Ferry. Cross saw an agent on the opposite side turn around, but it was a familiar face, so he quickly found out the identity of the other party in his mind. The other party is the member of the CP organization that Cross met in City of Sculpture, Skokie, and the action director of CP8, on behalf of Dining Knife. But, the agent next to Cross turned his head and said hesitantly. It doesn't matter. Earl Cross is the future general of the Marine, there is no need to hide this level of secrets from him. Ferry smiled, handed the manual in his hand to the agent beside him, and greeted in a gentle tone. Good day, Earl Cross, long time no see. Good day, Director Ferry. Advertisement. Cross also politely replied in accordance with noble etiquette. I haven't seen him for a few years, but Earl Cross's strength is getting stronger and stronger. He even defeated the big pirate with a bounty of 260 million Baileys. It really opened my eyes. Ferry said with a smile. Don't say such compliments, after all, our previous cooperation was not so pleasant. Cross said bluntly. Earl Cross is still so direct. Faley didn't care, and still said with a smile, since Earl Cross wants to know what these things are, why not come and have a look? But in advance, you can understand. That's how I wish I could understand. Cross curled his lips, stepped forward unceremoniously, and came to a big iron box that was opened. I saw that this big iron box was actually filled with many white papers with their own patterns, lines and words drawn on them. Cross took out a few pieces of paper, carefully looked at the content drawn on it, and read out a line of words on the paper as if talking to himself, constraining and enhancing the wavelength of irrational light, Vegapunk. The next second, he suddenly looked up at Ferry in front of him, and exclaimed in surprise. This is the blueprint for laser weapons. Fei Li was surprised, and said puzzledly, I didn't expect that a monster like you would naturally know something about advanced weapon technology. So, all the items transported by your CP organization from the future country, Bakamore on the island of the Organ are the original drawings of Vegapunk's invention. No wonder you use so many large waterproof iron boxes. Cross said with some clarity. That's right, the things we shipped out are all the original blueprints of Dr. Vegapunk's inventions, but this is only a small part, and the blueprints of genetic technology and weapon technology are the main ones. Feely didn't hide anything, and directly explained to Cross said. I see. It seems that the recent situation in the sea has made the world government a little anxious, so I want to use Dr. Vegapunk's invention to strengthen the power of your CP organization. Cross had a clear expression on his face. As a top scientist, 500 years beyond human intelligence, Dr. Vegapunk is a true genius scientist. As far as Cross knows, this man is a grandmaster in everything from devil fruit biological gene technology to mechanical weapon manufacturing. Thinking of this, Cross suddenly found that Marine Rate has not shown the ability to safely cross the windless zone so far. In other words, Vegapunk has yet to invent a way to use sea stones to send Marines across the calm belt. However, according to the situation, it should not be long before the method of safely crossing the windless zone appears. So it won't take too long, Marine will be able to travel freely to other four seas, and easily suppress the riots in the four seas, and the world government will have a tighter grasp on the sea. In addition, this, constraining and enhancing the wavelength of free light, technology, I am afraid that after Vegapunk earnestly researches and perfects it, it will be applied to the future humanoid weapon pacifist. Advertisement. Asking for flowers. It's not just our CP organization, you Marine also have a share. Fei Li corrected with a smile. Cross looked down at the original blueprint in his hand, did not speak, but knew in his heart that what Fei Li said was true. The future humanoid weapon pacifist was developed by Dr. Vegapunk. When it first officially appeared, it was in the Sabayati archipelago and was controlled by the Marine Science Force. The second official appearance was the appearance of the magnificent battle on the top, which almost changed the situation of the battle for a while, and indeed became an important combat force of Marine. In this way, the research plan of pacifist should be on the agenda, or it should already be in preparation. 0. Stepping, 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 stepping. At this time, a sound of footsteps came from far and near, which attracted Cross' attention. Cross glanced at it casually, and found that it was Fosfau and Jabra. There were many white bandages wrapped around their bodies, and they obviously suffered serious injuries. It is said that in the battle against the Blood Pirates, Fosfau and Jabra really suffered a lot in order to defeat cutthroat monster Denelli. Even Cross has heard that Fosfur and Jabra 2-on-1, at the cost of his own injury, severely injured cutthroat freak Denelli, but when he was about to arrest him, Denelli he actually committed suicide, and would rather die than be arrested. Hey, Director Ferry, how can Marine spy on the secrets of the world government? Suddenly, Fosfau found that Cross was actually standing in front of the pile of big iron boxes, holding a few blueprints taken out of the big iron boxes in his hand, and he yelled at Ferry very dissatisfied. Earl Cross has a special status, so it doesn't get in the way. Fei Li looked at this excellent agent in CP9 with a smile, and explained in a gentle tone. In Farah's view, Cross was promoted to the position of Lieutenant Colonel at a young age. With his monster-like strength, he was also given the right to temporarily manage the Marine base in the Sabayati archipelago. A proper Marine star, the future big Marine. Even if Fei Li didn't try to curry favor with such a person, there was no need to offend him, so there was no need to hide this level of secrets from him. Besides, Foz Fowler and Jabra understand this too. It's just that Foz Fowler has always held grudges in his heart because of the previous punch, and has always disliked Cross. Advertisement Chapter 30 The Arrival of Jonathan. Advertisement. Humph. Foz Fowler stood aside angrily, staring at Cross viciously. If his eyes were sharp swords, he would have pierced Cross with more than a dozen transparent holes. Jabra was standing beside Fairy, looking at those big iron boxes with some curiosity, but he didn't have any bad feelings for Cross. Even because of the previous punch, he still had some good feelings for Cross. Cross didn't pay attention to Foz Fu's gaze, and asked, "Have you all counted it? Are there any omissions or omissions?" Fei Li nodded with a smile, and replied, "There are 46 sealed boxes in total, and none of them are missing." "That's good, then you can organize your people and transport them back to the Holy Land of Mariajoy. I believe that with such a short distance, no one will come to snatch it." Cross smiled and said slightly teasingly, "Unless there are leaders of the BIGMOM pirates on the island, and even that monster woman, 170, came over in person." "Ha ha ha, I heard that the woman is busy giving birth, but she doesn't have time to come here to make trouble in person." Fei Li laughed. According to the confidential information of the CP organization, the black hand behind the blood pirates is BIGMOM, Charlotte Linlin, one of the overlords of the New World, but the specific reason is still unknown. Maybe it is for revenge on the world government and Marine, or it is true. Maybe it's just a peek at Vegapunk's research results. You know, ever since Vegapunk was recruited by the world government, intelligence personnel and bounty hunters sent by various forces appeared on the island, which is Vegapunk's hometown future country, Bakamoa, and tried to sneak into Vegapunk's get some useful things in the research institute. So, as a last resort, Marine simply set up a marine base in Bakamoa, the future country, on the island of machines, to protect Vegapunk's research institute and expel intelligence personnel and bounty hunters sent by various forces. Moreover, fortunately, the blood pirates were discovered by the CP organization as soon as they set foot on the Sabayati archipelago, and they joined forces with Marine to destroy them. Otherwise, once the blood pirates leave the front section of the Grand Line and enter the New World, they will definitely contact the BIGMOM pirates group. At that time, if the CP organization wants to cooperate with Marine to carry out operations, it may encounter the fleet sent by the BIGMOM pirates. A more massive Yamato and cruel war is inevitable, and the uncertain factors will increase many times. Because under the current situation, it doesn't matter if there is a partial battle between Marine and BIGMOM pirates, but be careful not to start a full-scale war with a behemoth like BIGMOM pirates, and it is still in an environment like New World, because no matter the victory negative, it will only benefit other forces. Advertisement. The most important thing is that once Marine's combat power is damaged, it will be unable to suppress other forces, and then trigger various chain reactions, leading to further collapse of the situation in the sea, which is absolutely unacceptable to the world government and Marine. Later, Fairy contacted the person in charge of the Holy Land Mariajoy with a phone bug in the Marine garrison base. 500 soldiers from the Holy Land garrison soon rushed over. Not long after, Cross stood in front of the gate of Marine's garrison base. Together with a dozen Marine officers, he watched as 500 soldiers of the Holy Land Defense Legion left carrying dozens of large iron boxes and boarded the gate in the Marine port. A world government ship. Just a short distance from Island 66 to the Holy Land Mariajoy, there are two CP9 members, more than a dozen elite agents of the CP organization, and an escort force of 500 soldiers from the Holy Land Defense Legion. It can only be said that the escorts are trash. In other words, God doesn't want these things to stay in the hands of the world government. Not long after, Cross and a dozen people watched the world government's ship leave, and when they were about to return to the office building to discuss the next thing, a Marine warship suddenly arrived at Island 66 and parked in the port. I said, "Are you welcoming me?" Jonathan stepped down from the warship, looking at Cross and the group with a surprised expression. "It's just a group of people who just sent away the CP organization." Cross looked at the familiar Jonathan, and asked suspiciously, "But why are you here? Could it be that the naval headquarters is so short of people? Even you, the adjutant of the Marine Marshal, are here. Your words are too exaggerated. I asked Marshal Kong to release me because I want to exercise outside." Jonathan smiled, pointed at himself proudly, and said seriously, "By the way, I will be called Jonathan Commodore in the future, and I will take over the Marine of Sabayati Archipelago. Hey, you boy, I just took office, but before my ace sat in that position, I was missed by you." Jonathan said angrily. After the two laughed for a while, Cross continued to smile, and said in a relaxed tone, "It's great that you're here, but I'm worried that I don't have much management experience, so I can relax now." Ha 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 ha. Especially when Cross first entered naval headquarters, Jonathan took good care of him. He not only enthusiastically introduced the terrain of naval headquarters fortress to him, but also shared 8 trigrams among many generals in naval headquarters. Advertisement. Then don't take it too easy. Jonathan smiled and shook his head, and said, "With your talent, you will definitely receive important tasks in Marine, even if you manage a large branch that starts with the word G alone, it's normal." "That's right, Jonathan Commodore. Please take care of me in the future." Cross pretended to be serious, and even saluted Jonathan. As for whether Gobert Rear Admiral will take over Jonathan's position and continue to serve as the chief officer of Marine's base after he recovers from injury, it is unclear. Ha 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 ha, let's talk about that kind of thing later. I won't be qualified to manage a Marine base of that level for at least 10 years. Cross curled his lips indifferently, and said intentionally, It's the Marine base in Sabayati Archipelago. I can still compete in the future. Maybe I will drive you down. Fortunately, Gobert Rear Admiral desperately captured Gofert Knock, who had a bounty of 77 million Baileys, at the cost of a serious injury. After all, in this battle, Gobert's Rear Admiral's command error caused Marine to suffer unnecessary heavy casualties, which was an unavoidable fault anyway. In the next second, Cross and Jonathan couldn't hold back anymore, and laughed happily. Then I really owe you a good word. Jonathan gave Cross a blank look. As the direct subordinate of Marine Marshal Kong, Cross has the most contact with Jonathan in naval headquarters, so the relationship between the two is quite good, and they often get together to taste cigars or evaluate the food in Marineford town. Moreover, Cross, like Jonathan, doesn't like vegetables. After all, the two returned to the office building where Marine was stationed together with a dozen or so officers. Don't worry, bro, you will be the 5.8 head of the base that manages the big branch that starts with the letter G. Cross smiled and put his arm around Jonathan's shoulders, swaying casually. So far, Cross, the temporary chief officer of the Sabayati Archipelago's Marine base, has turned back into an ordinary lieutenant colonel before his A gets hot. Advertisement.